Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Damiani.
Yo!
Michael Huber.
Hello!
And my champagne toasting co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
Distinguished guests, Happy New Year. This is not New Year for us. We're 2 days away. We're recording this podcast a little bit early so we can take the day off for New Year's Eve tomorrow. But for you, it is either New Year's Day or January 3rd or any day after that. It's not 2020 for you. It's impossible for you to be listening to this podcast in the year of 2020. So we're going to be wrapping it up. We are here to talk about some of the biggest headlines that happened the past 2 weeks and throughout 2020. But before we do that, we first have to answer for all of the mistakes we made in 2 podcasts. Daniel Bloodworth, begin corrections music, please. Boop. The game Formula E, not F1 driver Daniel Apt cheated on was R Factor 2, a PC racing sim. But he still cheated. Batman Arkham Knight was removed from Steam after a load of technical issues. Do you remember that one, Huber?
Yeah, briefly, yep.
Totally forgot that. Yeah, it's currently $5. All the, in the Steam sale, I double checked to make sure it was on Steam, and all of those Arkham games are $5 right now if you want to go grab them. Yeah, it is not illegal to drive barefoot in the U.S. for those who listened to our ads last week, but it is not recommended. Feet can get a little slippery, but not illegal. According to Gorav Jaina, the ability to have homosexual marriages in Crusader Kings 3 is dependent on the religion of the ruler and region, which Ian was very excited to learn when I passed that information along to him. The Mario Kart team is the ARMS team. The Splatoon team is the Animal Crossing team.
Yeah, yep. I got them mixed up. Got them crossed.
Okay, cool. A lot of people waited on that one. Sweet Tooth is totally in Rocket League. Allegedly, he was one of the first cars, so it was added. He was added on July 7th, 2015, exclusive to the PlayStation 4. Godfall has stated voraciously that it is not games as a service, but that was not said by us. That was said by in the specific text of the Love and Respect comment. Half-Life 2 did come out in Japan kind of as an arcade game called Half-Life Survivor.
How does that even work? Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it's the same thing, but
it's gotta be a very chopped up, abbreviated. You can't play Half-Life 2 in an arcade. Come on.
Is it a light gun game?
I don't know.
Didn't look it up, but a couple people mentioned that. I have to sing the Aura Wars song at the end of the segment as well. I forgot. You sing it at the beginning and you do the song at the end of it. My bad. I will sing it twice. People want me to sing more. Happy to oblige. And lots of support for Fallout 76. More than one person stated that it is in much better shape now. We talked about all the glitches that we're facing. Cyberpunk have talked about Bethesda in general when it comes to glitches, but apparently Fallout 76 is in much better shape. End corrections music, please. Boo. We have some good news and some bad news to share that, of course, we've already talked about at length throughout the year that is 2020. Got some fun stats, Huber. Not necessarily NPDs, but fun stats to go through.
I love fun stats.
Some curious, got some rankings. What were the top games in Japan? Got lots to go through. Before we go into that, I want to talk about a silver lining, something that we can look forward to talking about that was nice, that we can end the year of 2020 and be like, isn't that nice? Don't we feel warm and fuzzy about that? Lee Yancey on Kotaku reported that 2 of EVE Online's biggest corporations called a truce on Christmas Eve and Christmas. Quote, fleet commands and leaders of corporations, EVE's versions of guilds, have begun instructing their people not to take action that would cause the need for fights to happen on December 24th or 25th. The Goon Swarm Federation and Test Alliance have already issued their orders. No offensive timers are to be set on the 22nd or 23rd of December so that on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, no one is forced to log into the game and fight. Aw. There was one RTS too that simulated like some World War II peacetime Christmas thing.
Yeah.
Like on Christmas time, they were like, you could hear the other armies like singing Christmas songs across, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna kill those guys tomorrow, but at least we can, take the day off. But as of right now,
renegades?
They're fighting probably.
You think there'll be any rogues?
That's the thing. I meant that moment of Valhalla, Huber, where it's like, winter's upon us. We can't fight now. And it's like, that's exactly what they think we're going to do. So
some elaborate plan.
Yeah, it has happened before. But enough about wartime. Let's talk about 2020. 2020 was crazy. I'm going to do a quick 2020 in review, talk about some of the biggest headlines that happened this year. If you don't want to talk about them, if they're sad, or you're like, man, we have just beaten that horse to death, then we don't have to go over them.
The old Bloodworth skip.
Yeah, sure. If you want to pass on something, say it loud, say it proud. But I went through some of the, thank you to a lot of people that have reported on what they thought were some of the biggest stuff that happened this year. Can't wrap up 2020, of course, without talking about COVID. My goodness. COVID-19 happened this year, and we had the cancellation of almost every major in-person gaming event on the planet. Pretty much everything. Some of them went digital, some of them didn't. Keighley swooped in and kind of did his own E3, but E3, as we know it, not happen. PAX still kind of happened. GDC still kind of happened. From our perspective, what did we learn from this last summer? Like, if things are not back to normal by next summer, we have to go through this weird situation again. Are we going to react to the same stuff? Are we going to react to less, to more? What was this summer like?
I think we'll probably end up being a little bit more choosy. It'll be weird because I think there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to expect us to be at everything, but I think probably just for the sake of our own rest and sanity, we'll probably look back and say, okay, which ones from this year really didn't feel as interesting, and prioritize the bigger ticket items, and then cover the other ones on the podcast or in some other form.
Damiani, I have to feel like Nintendo didn't quiver at all when this happened, because they were like, oh, announcing games in front of a green screen? Psh, that's what we do. We don't go on stage anymore. We don't book theaters. We build big crazy booths, but Switch was the best-selling console of November, 24 months in a row. They're doing fine.
Yeah, they haven't done live stuff in a while, but even in the form of Nintendo Directs, they still deviated this year. They did something completely different for most of the year. And I think of the big three, they're the most, I want to say secretive. I mean, that's one way to put it, but they were the most unpredictable. Whereas Microsoft and Sony, they would communicate with ample time for everyone to prepare for their events. They didn't just drop them and spring them on us for the most part. They give us a good time. Nintendo not only didn't do Nintendo Directs through all of COVID, they introduced partner mini directs, which were third-party showcases. They announced major titles out of nowhere on social media rather than and dropped the trailer and just said, here you go, that's it. They did a few Treehouse Lives spread out across the summer, and they really didn't do anything like a traditional E3. While the other companies had kind of big events in that window of time, in that summer window, Nintendo opted not to really do anything like that. They saved their September was pretty much their E3 month, honestly, looking back at how much stuff they announced in September.
And as much as Keighley wanted each and every one of the Summer Game Fest streams that he had, felt like Game Awards was like the E3 of this year. That felt like the one moment we were really freaking out. Like, the Sony event was fun, the Xbox event was fun, but like so much of that was some of those PlayStation games. Somebody brings up, what is it, Kena? Bridge
right.
or something?
Kenna.
What is it? Kenna? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah. So it reminds me of that game. It's like, hey, we're not going to be playing that for a while, are we?
I think that's for 2021. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
see.
It's
down on my list is all of the stuff that we thought we were going to be playing in 2020 that we're supposedly going to be playing in 2021. But in the past, I always got a little bruised because I love E3 so much. It's in my hometown. It's in our backyard. It was always such a big deal for us. It's always been so nice to me and my business. But everybody always says, like, do we need E3? I got to ask just once briefly before we wrap up 2020. Do we need it? Like, do we think, maybe next summer won't be the same, but won't be ever, the E3 that we remember?
Say what I've said a few times this year. I to answer your question, I don't know if we need E3 as E3 was, but even if things won't be able to get back to the convention scene until past, summer next year, let's say like the window for E3 and all that stuff passes, if they're going to do the same thing they did this year, there needs to be a little bit more consolidation. I don't like so many smaller events spread out all over the place, because every single event, as Blood mentioned, we're going to have to go back and look at stuff, because this year we had to treat everything as it could be a potentially big event. And I feel like some companies or publishers took advantage of that situation. Obviously, they've been, it's a tough situation with E3 when you're a smaller publisher. So there is a way for them in this new kind of setup to grab attention. I think there's a better way to do it than just advertising every single one of these things is like a big deal. You need to tune in. It's
Right.
absolute like consolidate a little bit more, bring more people in, and then treat it as like a bigger thing, and maybe do them in like a week or two span, maybe over just 1 month, and call that like the games month or whatever.
Right.
But I did not like how this summer played out. Ultimately, it was not. I would not like to do this again. I'd like to get something closer towards the E3 direction.
Huber, I think you thought Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad was going to be at every single event that we streamed almost.
Yep.
I think that was it. You prepped yourself. Did even you, who bathes in hype as Reg splashes it on your head, did you even get a little tired, by the end of the summer? Just like, too much.
Yeah, Damiani, I agree with 100%. Just some consolidation, having fewer, more meaningful events rather than this Wild West vibe of everyone, just we have a bunch of games, we're gonna have a huge event and show them off. Like picking and choosing and having just more consolidation.
Well, and I think the thing is, though, Huber, is that very few of these things were actually official. Like we had the official Sony and Microsoft ones.
It felt backdoor.
But because there was no official digital E3, then everybody was trying to fill in those gaps. Kind of Funny was doing their thing, Future was doing their thing. Like all of these different companies were hopping in and trying to make their version of E3 or their kind of hype show of one form or another. And so that's why we ended up with so many things, with Haven at seemingly all of them, And so,
and that the metal gun game, music like shotgun, thing popped up at like 10 of these.
Yeah, Metal Hellsinger, I think is the name of it.
Nice one.
But yeah, so I think that's the thing is, hopefully if E3 does something this year, it'll be digital and it'll be something that everybody can get behind, and then we won't need to have so many, we're also doing this coming up. Which I think that was the main thing with like Summer Game Fest. Is like most of what Summer Game Fest wasn't Jeff organizing something. It was just Jeff tracking everything else everybody else was doing, and so that you could go to one website and see what the heck was going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because does E3 help a lot of these smaller developers and smaller publishers? We know of the controversy surrounding the E3 board and just like them playing hardball with wanting more money. And do we think?
Yeah, Huber. Here's a good point. There's opportunity for E3 to maybe expand and evolve.
Yeah,
they took a year off. They could read the landscape. A lot of what happened this summer, I think, will hold over for the long term. Even if people are able to go back to conventions normally now that type of that circuit of events returns back, I do think some semblance of the digital event is going to permeate a little bit more into our industry. We're going to see that. I think E3, the ESA can look at that and hopefully learn some lessons and apply that to a new version of E3 that makes the best of both, which could cater to some of the smaller publishers who have been complaining about how E3 drowns them out. Maybe they can think of a path forward for that as well that also satisfies some of the older conditions of E3 as well.
Yeah, because the thing is I'm skeptical that E3 will be able to come back in a considerable physical presence this year. And I think that is the main thing that people are missing is that ability, to network, to get seen by bigger companies and more established developers and publishers and that sort of thing. And so that's still going to be missing. But I think it does raise the question again of, why is E3 letting the public into the expo hall? Does that do them any good when they could be far more effective with a more coordinated digital event that everybody can see online and participate in online, and then the industry actually gets what it needs out of being able to meet in person when there aren't massive crowds, swarming all the booths, because that's just one of the things. It's like, unless you're Miyamoto like you're not going to be able to just walk over to Sony's booth and check out their games. Like, it's just way too crazy now. The lines, are basically filled up halfway through the day.
You're not a Michael Huber walking into the RE2 booth, like royalty.
Right. But I mean, it's like we still have that issue though. Like I spend a month booking appointments ahead of time, and so people that have appointments can go into things. But then it's like, well, if you didn't get the appointment, then you're kind of out of luck because there's just no space.
I wouldn't be surprised, Blood. One of the things I was saying, one of the new normal things that might come out of what we saw this summer is the means that we did a lot of preview events. That maybe being an avenue for a big digital event, E3 or whatever they want to make into the new one, where they could schedule more, have more people be in there, and still fulfill that hands-on portion of it for that at least. And I think publishers might like it a little bit better because it'd be under the guise of, hey, because of the technology we're using allow you to play this remotely, don't write about bugs and stuff because it could be like they could, they'd be like, hey, you got to attribute some of that to like maybe your internet connection was bad or something. So there's a little bit more leeway where you could see them being, it's still going to give us generally the most favorable environment possible within the circumstances. I could see a good push for that for sure.
Well, I also think that, like we saw with the Immortals Phoenix Rising demo they had on Stadia, I think we could see, a pretty good possibility of public E3 demos, going to the cloud and that sort of thing. And
I love that stuff. That's what I wanted. Yeah, that's what I want, Bloodworth.
Yeah, because they don't want people downloading anything because they don't want people
data mining.
Reverse engineering things.
They kind of hit that in 2020. Obviously, they were not expecting all this, but I have to wonder if developers are getting their demos ready for next year, because like COVID doesn't seem like it's going away.
I feel
cases
like that
are on the
rise.
Went
well with demos going out.
Yeah,
I feel that was
so
well
fun.
Received.
All these
there certainly is a
demos
nervousness where they're like, oh god, obviously data mining that stuff, but also just it's people being like, this game isn't ready. It's like it's by definition it's not, and it's something people in the industry kind of understand, but it's something I think the public generally accepted. Damiani and Huber, as two dudes who's played Immortals, got Immortals for Christmas for Amanda on Switch, and I've been playing it on PS5. That thing on Switch,
rough.
She's loving it. She doesn't. When I talk about frame rate and all that stuff, it does not bother Amanda. But I'm just like creeping over like my monitor, watching her play. Like, ooh.
Well, even on
you
PS5,
get indoors and cutscenes is okay, but like that horizon, like,
dude, even on PS5, Jones, the quality mode versus performance, like what is with the PS5 quality mode?
Is the quality mode even ready?
No, it's I switched over to it and it was like
I was only allowed, I can only play in performance mode for the review, so I never got to see what quality was like.
It was rough.
We're all about performance here at Easy Allies. Halo Infinite delayed to the end of 2021.
Yeah,
that happened, and I feel like at the end of this year we're doing okay with that. It seemed like such a huge thing at the time. We didn't know it was the end of 2021. We only found that out recently. And I actually wrote a bunch of notes that I never even got into, where I broke down the post that they made recently. But I liked it. I really, I don't like it when developers are disingenuous. I don't, as much as I am amused by marketing speak, I don't like it when, people try to gloss stuff up, past what we can expect or is likely happening inside of developers. And it clearly seemed like a team that's like, we got another year? Sweet. Like, let's do this. Let's really take the time and focus on stuff. And they posted a bunch of screenshots, just like, look at that armor, look at this gun, look at all the fun customization options we're gonna have, and it seems like it's in good shape. But like, boy, it seemed like a huge fallout at the time.
Yeah, and then I felt like people started to get comfortable with it, and then now after Cyberpunk's launch. Take your time, everybody. There's no rush. Like, it's not a big deal.
It kind of seems like a scapegoat where like a lot of devs are like having to delay stuff. Have you played Cyberpunk? I don't know what you're telling us to launch anything right now.
That cautionary tale. But I also think it was good to remove any ambiguity about the timetable, because you have consumers who are waiting for this who might expect maybe it'll be in the first half of next year, just to rip off that band and say, no, it's coming at the end of next year. I think it was a good, smart move to just announce that window ASAP so people can put their expectations in check.
Yeah, and I know it hurts for Xbox adopters. You know, you definitely want Halo as your launch holiday game, but I feel like the focus now isn't on games; it's on hardware. Like people are just trying to get an Xbox. People are just trying to get a PlayStation.
Right. I mean, I do think it still hurts Xbox in some ways to not have any first party. You know, I think that's an issue. You know, and it does help to show the value of Game Pass, but part of the value of Game Pass is that like every first party game is there, you know, so you get Game Pass, you're kind of set, you know, if you're an Xbox fan. But just looking at Halo alone, it's such a right decision, and I think obviously Microsoft has the overhead to be able to make that decision and eat the costs of it, but it's definitely it's the right call, and I think I brought this up on some other podcast a few weeks ago, but like I really do think that like it's smart of them to say end of next year rather than whenever, because I think it allows them the opportunity to get back in the studio, to let all of the COVID stuff pass, to get everybody back in. It's like, okay, we've all been working from home for like the past year. Let's get together, let's get our heads together, and then let's clean this thing up. And really, you know, work the way that they're used to working rather than, you know, having everything sort of, you know, be kind of, you know, rigged together with their home setups.
Do you think there's a world where Halo launches in early access? Do you think this could ever happen?
I think it could happen, but I think that they're being smart and not doing that.
Maybe like a Call of Duty thing, like get it a week early, you know.
Okay.
But
not
get Game Pass for a cheap price and get Halo Infinite early.
Oh yeah, the
same
marketing
or something.
early access. But I think what Huber means is something that like this is clearly not done yet. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I got some other 2021 delays, meaning stuff kicked to next year. Let me know if any of these still make you cry. The Medium.
Coming up, baby, January.
It's not that long. Yeah.
Destruction All Stars.
No rush.
Very smart. Very smart on Sony on that one.
Yeah,
that
Going
was
from a full price game to being on PlayStation Plus.
That was a Fall Guys queue. Fall Guys was like, get in here.
Yeah.
Dying Light 2.
What is
that game?
Come on,
has
Dying Light
taken
2.
a
Come on,
long
Dying Light 2.
time, yeah.
You can do it. Outriders.
Oof.
Far Cry 6. Still haven't even seen gameplay of that sucker. So take your time.
That was supposed to be this year?
Yeah.
That's coming out in like February or March now, right?
And Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Still haven't even
Nobody
seen
knows what
gameplay
that game is.
That's
Yeah.
not even a game in my mind. That's
Maybe a
nothing.
bad idea to release a game called Rainbow Six Quarantine in 2020. People
Yeah.
not necessarily excited about that. Another thing that was like huge at the time, another Microsoft move, that now seems kind of like, okay, they bought ZeniMax, therefore Bethesda.
Yeah, gigantic.
Right, gigantic, but
Huge move.
it seems to me like Microsoft has making all these plays. You know, they're buying up all of these developers, and like we haven't. We're waiting for
Still
waiting,
Microsoft
to really then like kaboom! Look at all these crazy exclusives we have. Look at all this crazy stuff we're coming out with. When's that going to happen? Is that going to happen next year, or
I think
take your
even
time with that as
another
well?
year, Jones, because I looked directly at Perfect Dark, and I use that kind of as a barometer with this, because that all they formed that team. That was kind of when they were buying everything, and that's a top tier high effort game. That's clearly a huge game with a lot of money behind it. So I feel like when that starts formulating, when Perfect Dark starts getting closer, I feel like then maybe we'll start getting closer to a lot of these.
Yeah, I'm starting to
exclusives
wonder
and
if
games.
and maybe we'll see it in the next couple of years, but I feel like Microsoft may be missing the Destruction All Stars or the Sackboys or like
He's got Ori. Ori's kind of that.
Yeah, but I mean that's like a collaboration between them and an independent studio, and that game also took quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
So I just feel like
for a while,
yeah,
on next
but I
gen.
just mean like Nintendo and Sony, I feel have a better job of these smaller titles that sort of fill in the gaps and don't take as long to produce. Like the Kirby games. We get Kirby every other year, it seems, and it seems like a lot of the stuff that even what Microsoft is invested in are things that are going to take a long time to make. So I'm curious how their schedule is going to fill in. But Bethesda is definitely a big part of that. And so they'll be able to do more there with that many other studios on board.
I'm addicted to numbers, man. So my favorite things with this moderating gig is just like, what are these numbers? How did this stuff iron out? And every time I look at Sony numbers versus Xbox numbers or Microsoft numbers, it's always less than half. It's like, how much marketing did they spend? How many consoles did they manage to sell? What was their revenue for a certain quarter or a month or the year or whatever? If these exclusive hit, if at the end of 2021 is the big Microsoft, coming out party, or it's 2022, Michael Damiani, do you think they can get past half of the revenue that the PlayStation is bringing in? Not only games sold, but consoles sold. Or is that even what they're thinking of? Or are they just like, hey, we just want to do good by our consumers, do good by our Xbox fans?
I mean, I think they do. They care about hardware, I think the current situation, how long it's gonna go on. I think both consoles are just gonna be hard to find until probably spring of next year, maybe in the best case scenario. It seems everyone keeps pointing to like March, April for when you're able to finally.
That's kind of what they've said. Xbox said like right before the summer is when you're gonna.
So maybe that'll be the case. You never know. Yeah. It might still be hard to find. So I don't know. There's that's gonna really do anything in terms of their hardware, because if it's end of next year, it's like, okay, if things are back to normal now, you can't rely on that bump anymore that everyone's on a buying frenzy. I think that might be the perfect time for them, because then they hit with the huge amount of exclusive software. And anyone who didn't get a console, now they're able to get one. I think it'll maintain that momentum. People will jump in at the time, especially people like me who maybe aren't looking to buy one right now. And then finally, the Bethesda offerings come out along with Halo and says, here are all these exclusives you're only going to be able to play right now on Xbox. So here, jump in and get these. So I think it has potential. It'll probably be the most focused point where they have the chance to do this if they really care about it. I think it's more about their software and enhancing their their library and their appeal, and ultimately the Game Pass, because that's their long-term game. I think that they're trying to increase the value proposition for that.
Their long-term game.
Do they reveal how much they make with Game Pass? Is that a number that's public?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay,
because then we're gonna see if that number goes up or down. Then we're gonna be like, it's all about good vibes, Hubert. It's all about happiness. Speaking of not good vibes.
Last question.
Oh, wait,
does by Microsoft buying Bethesda, that means they own all their IPs?
Yeah.
Bethesda's IPs?
Yeah.
So Microsoft technically owns Evil Within.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But Ghostwire is still going to come out on PlayStation.
Yeah, any existing contracts are going to be honored, but after that, who knows?
Yeah. Elder Scrolls Online doing pretty well. It'll be interesting to see what Microsoft does with that.
Yeah.
But you were speaking of, bad vibes. We talk about Valhalla. We talk about Immortals. We talk about some fun open world games we're playing. I love that I'll be playing Valhalla while the wife is playing Immortals.
Yeah.
We are doing, we're doing our part to make sure Ubisoft stays in business. But Ubisoft had a rough year, and it's interesting that it didn't affect sales. Valhalla and a lot of their stuff, Rainbow Six, a lot of their stuff is still selling incredibly well. But lots of people let go, lots of scandals, one after the other. Hubert, as somebody who enjoys a lot of Ubisoft games, where are you at just mentally with Ubisoft right now as a company? Did they shake you?
They should, yeah. I still enjoy their games. Valhalla is one of my favorites now for the Assassin's Creed series.
Agreed.
But my love for a game, basically I love creators and stuff like Shinji Mikami and Kojima and stuff. There's nothing better than when you love a game and the company. So now that they've been weird this year, I didn't feel as much love for the whole package. Ubisoft, blue collar, given, always in the trenches, always releasing games, these huge big budget games. So I just didn't feel I felt a disconnect with Ubisoft the corporation rather than Ubisoft my friend who comes out with all these cool games every year. Like it just
This was like the gen for us to practice a little caution before we
Yeah.
talk about how much we love companies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my favorite companies, like Rockstar, like, ooh, you know, like Naughty Dog, like, you know.
Like, Jones, there's
I'm hearing stuff like CD Projekt Red, like,
like there's a part in Immortals when they're talking about like, you know, guys like cheating on his wife, or like Zeus cheating on his wife or something, and it's just like that reads a little weird now
sure.
Yeah.
because of that.
Sure.
Like it's I can't
Right.
not block that out.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a game that likes to make fun of itself and the team that developed it and Ubisoft in general. But just interesting, and it's it is a oddly self-aware company in terms of how much they like to publicly point the finger at their employees and say, you know, they're great, get them on stage. You know, Gilmont is always on camera talking, you know, about stuff. He seems like a very jovial, kind fellow. And so it's interesting to see, you know, how they talk about that stuff, especially because like back to back, they were like, oh, we wanted to mention stuff in our, you know, video, but like we would have had to re-render it, re-export the video. So
Yeah,
like,
that was
we're just going to
really
tack this
weird.
thing on. It's like, well, if you're going to do one next year, you got plenty of time to update us on how things are going internally at Ubisoft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like my perception of Ubisoft was always some like the company who really cared about the fans, you know, just the community that revolves around Assassin's Creed, or the community that revolves around Rainbow Six. And that is what got damaged, you know, these people in power taking advantage of fans and those communities. So that's just hard to deal with.
Well, I mean, a lot of it didn't even have an impact on that side of things. It's just the, you know, the internal strife and problems and things there. And, you know, I am optimistic that the moves that they're taking will have results in the long run. But it's one of those things where it's like you can't call it, right? You can't say like, all right, that's the thing. It's gonna fix it. Like it's gonna take a year or two of sustained, you know, change in order to see whether they've done enough to change the culture in that company. And so, you know, and it's hard because it's like, you know, I've seen stories, you know, from people that I've worked with in that company that who had been abused and who were abusers. And it's like trying to sort out all the details, you know, for people that you don't know very well, and, you know, see what's really going on. It's very difficult, but it's also like one of those things that reminds me of, you know, kind of where, you know, this industry's roots are, you know, and stories that I've had from journalists that came before me, and like the kind of crazy parties and things that would happen, especially in Europe. And it's like that kind of boys club mentality that just, you know, it seems like it never fully, you know, it feels like Ubisoft never fully evolved beyond that. And so it's like the times just kind of caught up to them, you know. It's like, okay, now we've got to start really doubling down and making changes and making sure that people are safe and protected in this company.
I wish I could tell you Fortnite v. Apple was a thing of the past, was something we can put behind us in 2020, but that is still going on. I still don't care. But we don't even have to go over it. But like, yeah, it's the thing. You like the Fortnite Huber? Is that, you know, speaking of, you know, being shaken, you know, or do you think less of Epic, you know, with all of this, all these shenanigans, or just whatever? It's like, yeah, fine.
Whatever.
It's still not on the Apple Store. They still haven't won the case. Apple's still.
I think you said it months ago, Jones. You were just like, this billion-dollar company versus this lesser billion-dollar company. Like,
Right.
Whatever.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me was like how much they were like, yeah, 12-year-olds, right? And 12-year-olds like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. It's just, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a company so big just rally together. It's like Damiani, it's like the birds in Game of Thrones. It's like, my little birds, you know, just like, go out and find me secrets, you know, like, you know, down with Apple. And kids are like, no, man, I got cell phone rules. You know, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we're like other companies trying to jump on the bandwagon. What was the recent thing with Greg Miller getting like a free Fortnite thing from was it Samsung or whatever? Remember what was that? I don't remember what it was about. It was
I knew Greg
barely
Miller was up to
saw it
something.
out of the corner of my
No,
eye.
like no, he was just pointing out the absurdity of this situation. I think
Right.
is that what is going like this Fortnite versus Apple shit is just like how much can you really care about two rich companies fighting it out and trying to weaponize their consumers to fight their fight for them as well. It's just
Right.
especially given the current situation, it's just this is not no one like
Like the 1984 dystopian video they did.
oh
was
yeah,
just-
what the heck?
Which there is a part of me that chuckled. I mean, there's part of me that was like, wow,
They missed
that's
the
a
point.
thing, because they love making trailers over at that team, and so
Yeah,
I could
they made that
totally
thing quick.
I could totally see them. Well, they didn't make it quick. They had that thing ready, for a long time.
I gotta
but,
say, like, I don't know what I don't know what the Fortnite mobile user base is doing with the situation right now. They're basically just locked out of the game. And whether they are following it or whether they are really pushing or care, or if they've just moved on. But I gotta say, it feels like there's no pulse left to that story.
right. No,
There's no reason for the average person to care, and there's so many other headlines going on with Fortnite. They're like, it's almost feels like Fortnite has moved on, but obviously this legal case is going to keep going.
It does still seem like a huge piece of cash, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
A huge piece.
Gargantuan.
How
By
long are they going to be
comparison,
fighting over
there's
this?
Nothing.
When do you think this case will
Not much
end,
bigger.
Brandon Jones?
That's the thing about cases, dude.
So 2025?
Yeah.
This is going to be going on.
And also this week, man, I got a case that I didn't even know was happening, and it's like, oh, they're done. Like, good for them. Cool. Yeah, this stuff. That's the courts, man. Like, if you're gonna take somebody to court, get ready for a long fight. The even beginning the fight takes a long time in some cases. So it's a very difficult thing to keep doing, which is why Epic and Apple are like, oh, come on, we can do this. We can drag this out forever. Something that will not last forever, that we probably knew wasn't going to last forever, but pour one out for Mixer. Didn't make it to the end of 2020.
Oh yeah.
Mixer's not a thing anymore.
I wouldn't say we saw that coming. I mean, that's them being owned by Microsoft and everything. Like that was actually a surprise for me. I really
was surprised that it ended when it did, but I wasn't like, not Mixer.
Mixer.
Right, but I was surprised that it wasn't performing that well.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that Microsoft would just, shed it without warning, pretty much.
Right.
It's a big thing for them to have made all of that investment, and before it feels like they could have even really strategized to go take it in a new direction. It's just like, nah, this isn't going to work. So we'll do something else.
Damiani, was Mixer the Betamax of streaming services?
Betamax is. I mean, I don't know if it was that disproportionate in the outcome. I think I would be a very wealthy person if I was able to like tell you the formula for what will become successful or not. But I feel like something that is not the first to the market with something, if you're going to overtake it, I think it's pretty clear early when a new thing comes out if it's going to be big or not. Like we had MySpace first, MySpace and Friendster, and MySpace was
Right.
the biggest thing. And Facebook came out after, became public to more than just college students, and all of a sudden it exploded. And you were like, buy MySpace. It was like that. MySpace was like an afterthought, like less than a year later. With Mixer, I know it was only like its first year that it was like in the mainstream, I feel. And it was not even close to coming anywhere near taking any away from Twitch. Even with the big signings and stuff, that wasn't enough to sway. Like YouTube had already taken their shot and they had failed. And this, I always thought like another competitor is nice because if anything, it'll force Twitch to more quickly adopt newer features that are user friendly and better policies, and that's nice. So the kind of like the demise of it in its current form is not a good thing. But at the same time, I never had any. Just looking at it now, yeah, it was clear it was not going to surpass Twitch, but it could have been a viable competitor at least. A number two.
Not a gaming thing at all, but Huber, it was so much fun to watch Quibi fail this year. Just like, I'm like, what in the hell is this?
There was something, I forget what it was. There was something that was on Quibi. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I want to watch that show. And it was like, oh, it's Quibi? Nah. No thanks.
At least Mixer's a better name than Quibi. And we do not need to talk about this at all, but fascinating at the end of 2020, we still have no idea why Dr. Disrespect was kicked off of Twitch. No clue. Neither does he. No idea. And Twitch is probably never going to say.
They just can't talk about it.
Oh, he says he doesn't know.
I don't know that I buy that he doesn't know, but
not buying it.
Maybe he doesn't know definitively. He's like, hey, I could give you a whole laundry list of reasons why I possibly could have, but like what they, what they officially decided. But
which
it's interesting that they just like,
on the other
did he move on?
Other side of that coin, though, like if that is true that he has no idea, that he's never been given a reason, like that's pretty scummy. Like
just
Twitch
strange.
should be giving people reasons for like why your account no longer is accessible.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would go as far as to say scumminess or scummy for someone who trades in scumminess, but it is bizarre. It is very strange and is, weird that they can just try to we don't want to talk about
Yeah, what in the world?
I mean, we've always, I think any people who get kicked for terms of service violations that have to do with like behavioral stuff, like saying something offensive or behaving inappropriately, those are very clear cut. I think in most of those cases we've ever seen. This just has the look and feel of some kind of contractual violation. Would be my best guess. I don't. It was either as Blood said. It was like maybe they didn't give him one reason because it was like a laundry list of things over the years, and they're like but something had to be the straw that broke the camel's back with that. And I think it was more a legal, contractual thing that he violated. Would be my best guess because that's a lot of money to say goodbye to for Twitch. And to make it a permanent ban, and then they confirmed it was a permanent ban. You're not coming back.
Right.
Means it had to have been something pretty serious.
Particularly after what he pulled at E3. It's like
that didn't get him
back
banned.
a couple of weeks later after that.
It's like Al Capone. Once he dodged taxes, they were like, we got him. So it was probably he didn't dot some I or cross some T. On a positive note, the Suikoden successor, Eiyuden Chronicle, was still finishing 2020 as the top video game Kickstarter.
Nice.
That is doing extremely well.
Nice.
All sorts of stuff. It's fun. I love when a Kickstarter's got to like scramble for new tiers. It's like, like we'll do a tower defense mode. I don't know, So it's gonna be interesting. I'm sure they're super excited, but that team has got to be very busy right now.
You're lost, Konami.
Also, I just thought I would throw out that Sony and Microsoft released a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S respectively. That happened. We've talked about that a lot. Also talked quite a bit about the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 destroyed the goodwill of CDPR in, days. It's going to be interesting to see what that team does in between now and their next game. And very, very big news.
Their next game? It's not going to be for like 10 years, Jones. What are you talking about?
Well, then they got a lot of time, don't they?
What in the world?
Well, DLC. We were talking about,
dude. I mean,
that next DLC better be free.
They did mention free DLC coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably, a lot of times they use the word DLC to mean like these tiny little updates, like the horse armor and costumes and barbershops and things like that. Yep. So I'm curious what free DLC means when they eventually bring it out. But
at most it'll probably be a couple missions, right?
They have to write that shit before they do anything else because that company was operating under the same nice little protections that Rockstar had, where it's like they make amazing games, they take forever to come out, and they only make like one game every like 5 years or whatever, but they're mega blockbusters. So I think CD Projekt Red was new to that with Witcher 3, because before that, I don't think any of their titles were mega blockbusters like on par with The Witcher 3.
Witcher 2 is big, but not like that.
They enjoyed that status, and I think it's all gone now. They're back to, even if they recover for this, if they take as long to make their next game, it's going to be heavily scrutinized for why is it taking this long. So they got a long road ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, Witcher 3 was their first multi-platform game even. Witcher 2 was PC only, and then much later they made a 360 version.
Sorry about that.
Well, they keep playing the "we didn't know" card. They're we didn't, we didn't know. Like, oh, the GOG made that offensive tweet. We didn't know, and like, oh, the PS4 version doesn't work. Didn't know, and like, and it's like, you're done. You have to know now.
Who are your managers over there? I'm sorry. Like, get better managers. This seems like one of the most mismanaged projects in a long time.
And it's kind of like we were talking about Ubisoft earlier, Jones. It's just that build up. Like, one or two things happens. It's like, okay, bad apple. But it's like these continued offenses. They all build up, and eventually it's just like, you're gonna lose that goodwill.
Yeah. That's why the sales for Cyberpunk were sold out, because it just didn't hurt.
And isn't that a whole nother crazy conversation that we've
already had?
I know.
Plus, they hit a lot of that was hidden though. People didn't have answers to a lot of these questions and just assumed, to give them the benefit of the doubt, and which was obviously wrong. We were talking about Ubisoft earlier as well. Why those games sold so well? I think also a little bit has to do with the pandemic. People are just so beaten down with the current situation that I think they're just willing to overlook things right now, because like, I just want some like enjoyment. I just want to play a damn video game. Like, I'll worry about this shit later. We can like crucify this company later, but like, I just want to play a game right now. I've been waiting for this. Let me have my peace of mind. And then they also get burned on that, like not on the moral level, but on the technical level. Like, this game doesn't even work. So just like, and now you see why so many people are like up in arms. It was like, if the weird, if the ethical stuff didn't get you, what to say about you. It was the technical stuff that finally was the thing that got you to push you over the edge. Like, okay, that's what it took.
13 million copies. 13 million copies. Even with all the refunds. And it's interesting seeing the conversation, just adding more to the conversation, because a lot of people are finally beating it now. A lot of people are rolling credits, and they're like, that was a good game. I really enjoyed that time. Some people really, really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
And so
I bet they enjoyed it even more because there's so much negative noise that they're over here just trying to I don't have any problems.
Yeah.
That also kind of helps. And I'm sure it's, underneath all that, it is a great game.
And rocking this industry to its core at the end of April 2020, I became the moderator of this podcast.
Well done, Jones.
Well done.
Oh, thanks. And now, a word from our sponsors. Daniel Bloodworth has been speeding along over these holidays with, let's see it, Blood. Sorry, listeners.
Let me move this mic
you
out of the way.
Tune into the video. With the G923 True Force Sim Racing Wheel for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Yeah. Clamping that down on his table, taking his shoes off.
Putting his slippers on.
Putting the slippers on. Yeah. Dropping the spike strips. I like the spike strips. He's fastened onto the floor, and testing out a bunch of games. And I think my favorite story of the ones you told was cranking up the weather and be like, whoops, a little too much rain. Yeah. But really feeling the slipperiness with the wheel. The award-winning Logitech G design is re-engineered to dial into your game physics, delivering unprecedented realism. Feel the pistons pumping, the gravel crunching, and every shift, drift, and hairpin turn like never before. It's got a programmable dual clutch. Get off the starting line faster with maximum traction and minimum smoke in supported games. Unless you want smoke. Unless smoke is your type of thing. Doing the, what is it, Racing Fan 91? What is it, Hubert? What is it called when you
I lost everyone.
break?
My thing froze really fast. I'm back. No, I'm back. I'm good.
What is it called when you get the smoke, when you race, you do the spins?
Drifting?
Yeah, drifting.
No, what is it? Like specifically when you're just
burnout?
going in circles.
Like a burnout?
Like a burnout. There we go. Burnout. Yeah. Oh, now we want burnout games. Total wheel control wheel sensitivity, force feedback levels, and button customization via powerful G-Hub gaming software for PC. Control the race, a 24-point selector, RPM LEDs, integrated PlayStation, Xbox, or PC game controls, and a progressive brake spring that all helps you to maintain control of your vehicle at high speeds in supporting games, as long as you don't have the rain turned up too high. Compatible with most racing games on PlayStation, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC, with select titles specifically designed for True Force. Head on over to LogitechG.com to get your hands on your own G923 True Force Sim Racing Wheel today. That's LogitechG.com to get your hands on the G923 True Force Sim Racing Wheel today. I am excited because Ian Hank, who's not on this podcast right now, got to check out HelloFresh. I got to have some food sent over. And it's my turn, baby. He asked me what I wanted. I had a bunch of options, the veggie option, the meat option. I chose the family option. I got the in-laws in town. And I talk a lot about on this podcast about how I very much do not like preparing food. I'm not even a huge fan of eating food most of the time. Just give me a shake. Give me something. If there's some pill, like some space pill, if there's like Bachelor Chow from Futurama, I'll try
Jetsons,
it.
yeah.
But one of the things that I really like, not only about not having to prepare food, not having to think about it, because that's one of the things too that Amanda will be like, "What do you want for dinner tonight?" I'm like, "Food. I don't know." I have like 2 default restaurants that I always used to go to. I got a new neighborhood, so I got to find some new favorites. It's like sushi and something else, like ribs. And she's like, no. And I'm like, all right, sushi then? No. I'm like, all right, well, then she'll suggest something. And I'm like, you wanted to get that anyway, so why didn't you just say it? So the fact that HelloFresh is going to send us meals, I don't have to think about it. We can just boom, here we go for the podcast. Let's check them out. Don't have those yet, but very much excited to check those out. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it is America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning. And grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and getting dinner on the table in about 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh offers 23 plus recipes each week featuring a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients, so you'll never get bored. Eating healthier has never been easier with low-calorie, carb-smart, vegetarian, and pescatarian options every week. And no matter what you choose, every single recipe is packed with fresh produce sourced directly from farmers. Go to HelloFresh.com/10allies, that's 10ALLIES, and use code 10allies for 10 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/10allies and use code 10allies for 10 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. Shout out to James Batchelor at GamesIndustry.biz, who dropped a bunch of fun stats that I'm going to roll through. Got some stats from some other publications as well, but stealing a lot of these from there. And there's a lot more if you want to check those out. General shout out to GamesIndustry.biz as well for lots of headlines that I miss. I go to lots of different websites for news, and you go to Games Industry, and it's like, whoa, no one else is reporting on this. And it's just always fun. There's always mergers. There's at least one merger a week that I'm like, nobody cares about this mobile merger, but gosh darn it, I care. So here's some fun stats. Most of these, I want to see if you can guess. What was the highest rated game on Metacritic in 2020?
Ooh.
Highest rated game.
Highest
what?
rated.
What was the average?
Oh, Persona 5 Royal.
Boom!
Wow.
So,
If you think about it, it makes sense, right? The better version of one of the best games of the gen.
Yeah.
So a solid game of the year contender.
It's so not fair in a lot of ways.
It is totally not fair in terms
Because
of
it's not fair to me. Like I spent months playing through that game.
I know.
And like, oh, now you've got a better version. And it's not just an epilogue or something. There's new stuff through the whole game.
play it, baby.
Brutal.
You play that, Bloodworth?
I would love to, but it's not happening.
Same. I was gonna replay it right when it came out, and then I got sidetracked, and now it feels like there's no hope of replaying this.
All right, Huber. Smart
Okay, I
games.
still haven't
What was
played
the average?
through. I still haven't played through Dragon Quest XI, which also got a better version. So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna play a better version of something, I'll play that better version of Dragon Quest.
Nice.
Seeing a lot of people say that was their goatee for this year, Dragon Quest XI. They're like, I know it came out before, but this year was the year I played it, and heck yeah. What was the average, Huber?
95.
What was that score? What the hell, dude?
Nailed it. Nailed it.
All right. I wasn't expecting anyone to get this, but you're on fire. What was the lowest score on Metacritic? You probably won't know the game.
Fast and the Furious
What was the score?
Crossroads.
No, it was a racing game. A Switch exclusive racing game. Do you know Damiani?
Ooh.
I saw 5 seconds of this game on YouTube, and I was like, oh yeah. That's the lowest rated.
Garfield
game,
Kart?
for sure. No, it's not licensed in that way.
It's like a 36 or something.
Tiny Racer.
Tiny Racer.
Oh, really?
Racer.
Okay.
So like 30.
It wishes.
21,
no.
29.
29.
Oh, wow.
74 reviews for that Persona 5 Royal. Only 9 reviews for that Tiny Racer. A tiny amount of
for
reviews.
Royal. Wow.
It's a lot.
74. Yeah.
Because that's the other thing I was thinking is like it's gonna be stacked a little in that game's favor because the people that are gonna review that are gonna be people that probably liked it the first time.
Sure.
But that's 74. That's a lot.
Imagine all these people at big publications that are like, can I play Persona 5 again? It's like, fine. Some fun stats. PC revenue was $37.4 billion for the year. Console revenue, $51.2 billion. Some of these might be repeating, but you know what I love? PC revenue, $37 billion. Whew, what a number. Console revenue, $51 billion. Psh. Mobile revenue, $86.3 billion.
Fortnite, there it is. Fortnite versus Apple.
That's right. Total revenue for this industry in 2020, $147.9 billion, up 19.6% year over year. Take that, movies.
Dude, movies had a rough year. Don't kick them all.
Come
Don't
on.
kick them all. They're down, Jones.
People in the industry, yes, they had a rough year, but again, it's just people in the arts. That the
It's not
year
a fair
didn't work out
comparison.
well
then,
for them.
Jones.
It's
Movies
not,
numbers are based on box offices that aren't open.
right. I'm just saying, games had to shift too, man. It's
How did music
the numbers
do?
go
is
up, the
question.
numbers go down. And it happens.
I bet music did pretty well.
No console.
Taylor
those
Swift
numbers,
dropping
but I
multiple albums out there.
Yeah.
Musicians
Nobody
in
know crap.
Fortnite are doing well. I know that much. Physical for the year was $14.9 billion. Knowing that number, what was digital? Almost $15 billion for physical. What was digital?
Probably at least
65 bill.
They're 25 billion.
80
billion.
bill.
75 billion.
Yeah, but I mean, if
100 bill?
120 billion.
158 billion.
Jeez.
you just had to do the
Goodness.
math, you just had to subtract 174.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
That actually doesn't work out. I wonder what that.
Well, there's probably also gift cards and digital
Sure.
like microtransactions and stuff.
I think that maybe. Yeah, I think that might be gross revenue versus.
How much of that was
Interesting.
Genshin Impact?
Yeah. Well, that brings me to my next question. What was the percentage of total market revenue that came from in-game spending? In-game spending, not the game itself.
Percentage of revenue?
The percentage.
70%.
Dude, yeah, 70%.
74%.
Oof.
Wow.
They got you.
Yay!
No, that's not a
No,
yay. That's,
I don't like that stat. I
that's
don't like
the
that
worst.
stat at all.
Bad
Yeah, I don't like
stat.
that one bit.
They got you.
It brings me back to Halo, we were talking about earlier, and just like, I think of the biggest games that are ongoing that make the most money: Fortnite, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and those are on multiple systems. What if Halo could be that size and just on Microsoft?
Right.
They
That'd
got
be so
Minecraft.
huge. And
Right.
Minecraft, yeah, exactly.
Well, but that's the thing, though,
Getting those
Hubert.
ongoing.
That's why Microsoft is getting the cloud going, because then they can get those mobile users into Halo to buy the in-game purchases.
Yep. Wow.
How much is the
Wow,
Gold Master
74.
Chief outfit going to cost?
This year broke crazy records. Are we ever breaking these records again? Like this decade?
Of course.
Probably.
You think?
I
Oh,
mean,
Always.
Even after everyone's just
With
stuck at home
inflation
and like
and
they
stuff
can't,
eventually,
can't
but
go
if
to
you-
museums, can't go to movies, can't go to theme parks, can't
Right,
can't,
but
can't
just
spend
as I
money
was
on
saying,
travel.
like as Microsoft starts tapping into these broader markets, as more companies get in there, what Mario Kart on mobile is doing pretty well too, right? And Pokemon Go is still crazy. Like there's definitely plenty of room for things to grow, even if it's not necessarily in the ways that we want it to. But as you were saying, PC's had a good year as well. So like that's the nice thing, is that like we're actually hitting records on pretty much all fronts. There's not one specific winner of it all,
Right.
Even if one is bigger than the others.
All right, Damiani, buckle up. Best-selling console games in Japan, according to Famitsu.
well,
What's
the
number
best-selling
one?
console game in Japan is Animal Crossing.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
What's number 2?
What else? came
Hard to
out?
get, hard to find in stores. Right when that pandemic started,
Oh, Ring
everybody in
Fit.
Japan all of a sudden.
Oh, Ring Fit.
Ring Fit Adventure. What's
Oh,
number 3?
yeah, that was. Yeah. What was sorry?
Will it be good? Will it be good this year? I don't know. So much hype around this game.
For number
Is it going to
three?
be good? Is it
Oh,
going to
come
sell well?
on.
Are you talking about number
Always
three?
know.
No.
Pokemon being good doesn't matter or not. Number 3 in Japan. I'll give you a 2-word clue. Brad Ellis.
Oh, it is Demon Souls. I thought it would.
It is not Demon Souls.
Not
Demon
Demon
Souls
Souls.
is not on this list.
Melody
not in the
of
top 10 at
Memory.
least.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts is Brad Ellis, so I mean that's
Yeah.
I mean, are you guys going with is it a Yakuza game?
No, I'm not sure that was even this year. There.
Yeah.
Zelda, Hyrule Warriors, like Age of
All of
Calamity.
you are killing me
The
right
hell?
I mean, there's Zelda, there's
Zelda, Kingdom
No.
Hearts, and Souls is what I
Yeah,
think.
what did
when
you
I think
say?
of Brad Ellis.
Wait, what games did Brad review this year, Chet?
Pretty
What did he?
Pretty big Japanese video game released in 2020. Pretty anticipated. Come on.
Final Fantasy freaking 7.
There we
Good
go.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Also, Brad Ellis. Good,
Yeah.
good
Actually,
job.
that is interesting. Brad had a good year, didn't he?
Yeah, he's always giving me shit for getting all my games
Right.
every year.
Biggest win
2020,
Brad Ellis.
I was thinking of another Nintendo game. Damn. Yeah. I was trying to
What were you
think
thinking
another. No, I was trying to think of a third Nintendo game because I thought everything was on Switch.
I got more Switch games on this list. Give me Switch games.
no.
I'll let you know where they ended up. They don't even have to come out this year. Number 4 didn't come out this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty
At
sure Mario
DLC
Kart's
though.
got to
it
be
was
in there
Mario
somewhere.
Kart, where was
GTA 5.
Mario Kart's number 5.
GTA 5.
Nah.
It's Japan.
No, not
Skyrim.
GTA.
Skyrim.
No,
No.
Japan.
I'm kidding.
stop.
Minecraft.
Minecraft Switch Edition, number 8.
But we're on 6.
Wow.
Number 4, though. Number
4,
5
4.
was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 4, though, didn't come out this year. Had DLC, though.
Smash.
Smash
Fire-
is number 7.
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem not in the top 10.
Wow, did have DLC this year though. Pokemon.
Pokemon Sword and Shields, number 4.
Yeah.
Blood or Damiani, have you heard of this one? Number 6 is Momotaro Dentetsu Showa Heisei Riwa no Motaiben.
Still going.
Still going.
Blood-
What do you mean
Blood
still
knows it.
going?
Are you familiar with this franchise, or do you mean the name is still going?
It's like the train board game thing, right?
Oh, is that what the Momotaro Dentetsu?
Oh, that looked so
Then I
fun.
definitely know. That's got to be a no Taiben, right? Or maybe it's Motaiben. I don't know. Number 10, Ghost of Tsushima, which makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Sick.
Nice.
Number 9 is blowing my mind. Switch game. Ian Hank was pumped for this. Not something I thought would have
Pikmin
not,
3.
Not
I
something I
wish.
thought.
I wish it was Pikmin.
Yeah.
3.
Deadly Premonition.
Yeah.
It's a collection.
The
Castlevania
Switch.
collection.
Oh, the
not a collection
Legend
of like
Mana or
Super Mario collection. The Mario 3D collection.
not a collection of platformers, not a collection of RPGs.
Damn, I'm blanking.
Tony Hawk.
That thing coming out on Switch.
The subname is 51 Worldwide Classics.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Clubhouse games.
Clubhouse Games,
Wow.
number 9 best-selling console game in Japan for 2020.
That's pretty jolly, dude. It just seems
Extremely
like
jolly.
a good, like, bring it to your family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
play some games, with the
Yeah.
family. That sounds really jolly.
These next lists are fascinating because it's not something that we generally talk about. We always talk about sales and how many copies were sold. What were the most covered games? Meaning the most
Cyberpunk.
articles written about them. What was the most covered game in 2020?
Cyberpunk.
Number 2, Cyberpunk. What beat it?
Oh,
Is FF7 remake on
no,
there?
it's gotta be.
Last of Us Part 2.
No,
FF Sim Remake is number 15.
Last of Us Part 2?
Last of Us
25,352
does seem
articles.
like a good guess.
It's gotta be some ongoing shit. It's gotta be like
Last of Us Part 2
Fortnite.
is number 3. Fortnite, number 1.
Yep.
Fortnite. Okay.
Fortnite had 75,117 articles. Cyberpunk only had 72,000. And Last of Us right behind it with 57,000.
There's article every day, multiple, because there's so many angles to the game.
I would have guessed Genshin Impact would have been one.
Genshin Impact,
all
not in the top 20.
skins, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
80s?
Not in the top 20.
Really?
Number 4, though, another just, colossal game this year. We just talked about it.
Ghost of Tsushima?
Number 1 best-selling game in Japan.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Oh,
Number
yeah.
4. Huber, what's number 5? A game you'd love to come back to every now and then.
Evil Within.
Really?
Resident Evil 3?
No, Resident Evil's not on here. Not a lot of people talk about RE3.
A game I like to come
unfortunately.
back to is
Every now and then.
Fortnite.
Call of Duty?
That was number 1.
Call of
It's a shooter.
Duty. Call of
It's a
Duty.
shooter. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is number 8. Call of Duty Warzone, number 12. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, not on this top 20 list.
Doom Eternal?
Something I come back to.
Something you come back to, yeah.
Is number 10. Yeah. A game that beckons you back. Come on back, Huber. Pick up
Destiny.
Pick up your gun. Come on
got
back.
it. Yep.
Destiny 2. Minecraft coming in at number 6. Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 7. League of Legends at 9. Just those new characters and crazy new headlines and stuff. I wonder if Riot with kind of like Valorant and the RPG and like card game and all that stuff. I wonder if that just kind of rose all the boats, and it just like all of that just leads back to LOL. Pokemon Go, which we talked about, number 13. Speaking of Valorant, at number 14. Final Fantasy VII Remake only at 15. Again, big sales, but not a lot of articles. Watch Dogs Legion, for better or worse, at 16. Halo Infinite, also for better or worse, at 17. Valhalla, which sold super big, at 18. And the two big surprises of the year, Fall Guys and Among Us, wrapping up the list.
Oh, wow.
Fall Guys just slightly ahead of Among Us, but Among Us, I think, did better sales than Fall Guys at the end of the day. It's 19 and 20. Forget articles. With just the people, the voice of the people. What were the most discussed games on Twitter? According to Fan Census. Number 1. No. Cyberpunk's number 3.
Fortnite.
No. Fortnite's number 9.
Oh, Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing's number 2.
Wow.
What is the most tweeted game in 2020? Michael Damiani. Come on, Damiani.
Not
What
Pokemon.
is it?
It's not Minecraft.
Ring
and it's
Fit?
Not Genshin Impact.
Search your heart, Damiani. Search your soul.
Melody of Memory.
If you were to open
Zelda?
up, no. If you were to open up your heart, what's in there, Damiani? What's in there?
Blood?
Nintendo?
Yeah, it's not Nintendo. What game is it? Come on, Damiani. What game is it? If Damiani doesn't know, you know. If you were, there's just like a big Post-it board, and I just said the words Michael Damiani, and you were just gonna write games down.
Mario?
Nope. Come on.
Breath of the Wild 2?
We said Final Fantasy Remake. We said Zelda.
It's not Nintendo.
Mario.
Not Nintendo.
I am astonished.
Metal Gear?
No.
Is there Death Stranding?
What game have you put more hours into than all of those combined?
It can't be.
Final Fantasy 14?
Final Fantasy 14 was the most discussed game on Twitter in 2020.
Wow.
What?
924,063 tweets.
That is...
Damiani is inflating the numbers.
I don't know how much tweeting he does about Final Fantasy 14, but isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Right. According to Fan Census, Animal Crossing New Horizons 684,600.
I feel like Animal Crossing won.
How much do these things get
possible?
boosted by the auto hashtag things when you put screenshots and stuff up?
Maybe.
I'm curious Damiani, is there any functions in 14 to where like it'll automatically like Damiani's playing 14 right now and tweets it out?
On PC, no. They tag copyright information on every screenshot you take, but the console version, like there's a way to share stuff, but like no one does it that way. Everyone just like makes their own screenshot and then like shares it manually. I don't think people use hashtags a lot of times for Final Fantasy. This always seems so weird because like
That's so weird.
And there's a lot of memes and stuff in it, but I feel like Animal Crossing,
Sure.
yeah, if you put like not even a chance. I wouldn't even say Final Fantasy was in the top 14, wasn't even in like the top 20 in its best year, and this was even in the expansion launch year. So it's like,
yeah, WoW even had an expansion.
Yeah. I was like,
what?
man, Animal Crossing was talked about non-stop for like 6 months of the year, online,
and like celebrities were playing it.
Yeah.
Every single human.
Exactly. I was like, what's the source for this?
Twitter apparently, but
just number of tweets.
Twitter.
The math might be off, but 924,000 versus 684,000.
That's a huge gap, too.
Yeah, like,
That might be
It's like
a
not even
couple
close.
hundred off, but it's still that's
there'll be a lot of
relatively
Japanese players to Damiani. That's the only thing I think
Well,
of.
the thing is because it talked about Twitter, but like it has a very small Twitch presence for like everything else about its metrics like doesn't like correlate to that. So I'm trying to think like but Twitter is worldwide. Maybe something happened in like another
Some like
territory.
giveaways, promotion, Twitter promotions.
I mean, if you could sleuth that for me, I'd appreciate it. Let me know the next time.
Yeah, I'll be anticipating the pop facts.
Just send an email over to like Square Enix, be like, hey, can you comment on how it feels to be the #1 most tweeted about game? And if they reply back with an answer, it means they think it's true. Then if they correct us and they're like, oh, it wasn't.
But don't worry. There are 2 Call of Duties on the list. It's interesting that Modern Warfare did so well this year continually with sales and headlines and all that stuff, but not in the top 10. Black Ops Cold War at number 4, Warzone at number 6, Fall Guys beating Warzone to get in number 5, which is really Fall Guys' thing. Like Among Us did really well, but Fall Guys is just tweeting and tweeting and tweeting.
Oh, yeah, and plus there's just so many moments that people share, or they got robbed out of something or they just barely made a play
Shuhei's Fall Guys tweets were really
Flip
great.
that game.
Tsushima at 7, Valhalla at 8, Fortnite slipping to number 9, and crazy because you shouted it out, Huber, for both headlines and for tweets. The Last of Us Part 2, number 10. Fall Guys beating The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's
tweets,
crazy.
right?
Twitter presence. Yeah, tweets. 343,000 tweets to Fall Guys' 541,000.
Definitely a game you don't want to tweet spoilers about. I wonder if that had a little bit in there, played a little small part.
Little bit.
Last of Us Part 2, pretty divisive even after all that noise has kind of quieted down.
Agreed. Bled, you shared this. I'm curious if you can retain any of the information or if any of you all saw these specific games. They weren't ranked versus this one is on top of this. They were ranked by tiers. The top 100 games of 2020 on Steam. So specifically PC players on Steam. This is measured by gross revenue. At the top, there were 12 games in their platinum tier. So the best selling games. A lot of stuff that we've talked about. Cyberpunk 2077. Grand Theft Auto 5, obviously. Among Us, Fall Guys. Give me some other names. I'm curious. Throw some stuff out.
I remember Counter-Strike was in there.
Counter-Strike's on there, yeah.
Hades.
Any other good? Hades? Not in the platinum tier.
Hades is already a cult classic.
It is. Yeah. It did well. I mean, it's probably in the top 100, but it's just interesting, just sobering at the end of the year to think about stuff.
I don't think Persona would have made it in there.
That's Steam. Sorry.
Yeah.
I said, wow.
Right. Dota 2, got to be in that platinum tier.
Yeah.
Crusader
Rainbow Six
Kings?
Siege.
How did Crusader Kings do?
Crusader Kings, I think, is in the gold tier. It was also in that gold tier? Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord.
Awesome.
Nice.
That is a game we don't talk about very often. Baldur's Gate 3 is also in that gold tier, which is funny.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that's not even out, right? Like,
There's a sweet early access
It's early
demo
access,
thing.
but
Yeah. That was sweet.
still doing well. And Destiny 2, Among Us, and Fall Guys, Monster Hunter World, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, that's right. I saw Red Dead on there.
PUBG, Doom Eternal. Platinum.
Red Dead is such an interesting thing, right? Because, it feels some ways like it's disappointing to Rockstar because Red Dead Online is just failing, right? But it's right there on those top Steam games.
Well, it's disappointing to the fans. Rockstar
Right.
hasn't really said it's disappointing to them. Like, it's tough to tell what their
really tough to
goals
tell how
were
it's
for
doing.
Red Dead 2 on Red Dead Online specifically.
I know that GTA 5 is getting their attention way
GTA
more,
Online,
as usual.
Yeah,
They
because
gotta
that's the
stop
thing,
making
Huber. Like the
games.
DLC they're making for RDO isn't like we got to fix this. It's just like I don't know, whatever. Here's a new class. Here's some new weapons.
Probably
not getting like an Undead Nightmare type thing was like okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. Gotcha.
Do you think the next gen Red Dead will be announced, Jones? Do you think that's happening? Because they already said GTA.
Yeah.
5.
Oh, like a port? Yeah.
Yeah, I see that next year. I see that happening next
I
year.
wonder if
upgrade.
they're maybe saving some content, have like a big, Red Dead remastered type.
No.
Because GTA 5 did it, Jones. The first person. That was huge. That's a transformative addition.
For online, like that was the single player version, and online had that as well. But like that was for me, that was the big curiosity. It was like, oh damn it, I got to play that campaign now, and then I get to look at people and drive and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know what they could do that would be that groundbreaking.
Yeah.
For that new one, Team Fortress 2 in that silver tier. Team Fortress 2, man, and Valve had a good year, and Rust and Raft in that silver tier. Not two games I was not aware of. Rust has been in early access since 2013.
Yeah.
And Raft has been in early access since 2018.
Raft I've never heard of.
Both just go and you collect those things, build stuff, survive. You don't get to ride T-Rexes or anything super cool like that. And something I don't talk about nearly enough on this podcast, also from Fan Census, the top trailers or live streams by views.
Ooh.
You can kind of tell we did talk about some like the Twitch and YouTube presence, but what was the most streamed and trailer watched game of the year?
Oh, it's gotta be Fortnite.
Fortnite every time.
Gotta be Fortnite. And all of the Call of Duties are presented on here. In a top 10, where do you think Call of Duty's wound up, Huber, and which ones? Black Ops Cold War, Warzone, and Modern Warfare. Where they at?
Warzone's probably pretty high, like number 3.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Oh.
Fortnite and
mil.
Warzone. There it is.
Fortnite was 252 million. Call of Duty Warzone 71. To give you an idea of how much Fortnite is just. And this is trailers too. So every time they had a new piece of media.
How about Apex Legends number 5?
Apex not on the list.
Ooh.
Where are those other CODs though?
You got Modern Warfare number 6.
Modern Warfare's number 8. Where's
And Cold War
at?
number 10?
Number 4.
Number 4, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's number 3? Fighting game.
Mortal Kombat. Nice.
Mortal Kombat 11. 71 mil. Just nipping at Warzone's heels. Go. Mortal Kombat.
I still think with Call of Duty though, it's like you add them all up. You add up Warzone, you add up Modern Warfare, you know, they're not competing against each other. It's all one big. So
Sure.
what's that number combined, you know?
And then, you got your usual characters. Grand Theft Auto 5 at 6, PUBG at 7, Minecraft at 9, Cyberpunk just sneaking in there at number 10.
Really?
What's number 5, Damiani? Number 5 on the top trailer/live stream view count of 2020. I cannot believe this. A franchise coming back that got remastered and then finally had that sequel we all thought was going to happen this year. Sold well, streamed incredibly well, apparently. Maybe it was the trailers, I don't know.
Deadly Premonition?
No. Platformer.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Platformer.
I mean, remastered platformers.
This is not the remaster. The franchise had been remastered before, very recently. This was the sequel that we were like, wow, if they're remastering.
Oh, Crash!
Crash 4?
Crash Bandicoot 4, it's
Wow.
about time.
Wow.
Beating Call of Duty
Really?
Modern Warfare for trailer and live stream views.
And these all have beaten Among Us and Fall Guys.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
58 million total views and live stream
Wow.
trailer and live stream views. 2020. What?
Yeah, what?
Again, according to Fan Census, if you got a problem with these numbers,
What?
All right.
go after them. Story time. I want to talk about this very briefly. This isn't necessarily something I'm going to, instigate that all of you should be upset about or concerned about. But Tencent recently acquired Leyou Technologies. Leyou Technologies owned Digital Extremes, which develops Warframe. So Tencent now owns Warframe. Tencent made a bunch of other moves
Owns or
this year.
invested in, because Tencent puts a lot of money around.
Owns.
Wow.
Yeah, they bought these guys. Kind of like Riot. They own all this stuff. The deal was 1.5 bill, so this was not a little bit of money. Sony was also reportedly interested, but could not bring up that Tencent money. And Tencent has made other moves this year we haven't really talked about on this podcast. I haven't really mentioned it also this week just because it's like Tencent being Tencent. But before the year is out, I think it's worth just kind of taking stock of what this company is up to. If you're not familiar with Leyou Technologies, they also own Splash Damage, which worked on Gears multiplayer, made Gears Tactics.
Brink.
And they have a 20% stake in Certain Affinity, which worked on Modern Warfare Remastered and is currently working on Halo Infinite. And Leyou used to be a chicken processing company until they entered games in 2014.
Okay.
You can't make that up. And in 2016, we're like, enough of these chickens. Let's get totally into games. And then here we are 4 years after that, and Tencent's like, gobble, gobble, gobble. All of these companies are stoked.
Those
they're
are
all
turkeys,
saying,
Jones.
They're all saying that. Thank you, because that is a correction I would not want to have started 2021 with. Oh boy. Cluck, cluck. But they're all pretty stoked, and it's when a company gets bought and they're like, no, we're still independent. Do you believe them? Typically.
Depends who's buying.
Sure. What about Tencent? Do you fear Tencent? Are you intimidated by Tencent?
No. As long as they don't come over into my space, keep your distance, Tencent. I don't want anything with you. Just leave me alone. Because
Don't buy Huber. Huber's not selling.
Yeah. Because Warframe, I played Warframe a bit. Really cool game. I really like it. But I'm not invested.
Yeah. Warframe says they're super independent. They're like, nah, man. This is if anything, it's gonna speed us up. It's gonna give us more opportunities to do more stuff we want to do.
That's good. Because it always is a little concerning, when partnerships go down. Just too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak.
Right.
So
there's definitely been a lot of concerns with how much money and ownership Tencent has been putting around the industry. But at the same time, like, I'd be curious if anyone has any stories of like that actually affecting a product that we can see that, like, okay, this is because Tencent took over, or because Tencent is involved. Like, it feels like a lot of that feels like speculation to me and worries, but it's like I don't know like anything like really tangible yet. It sort of feels like they're just a company that's trying to make money. And it's like, oh, this company makes money, invest in them. Now we'll make more money. Let them keep doing what they're doing because they were already making money. So I don't know. I don't know what that company is doing. It's a weird company to me.
Whatever they're doing right. And so I'm going to rattle off all of most of the investments. That we don't have time to rattle off everything that they.
No,
I see the analogy of they got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. That's what people like to say. So I'm going to talk about all the pies and how deep their fingers are in these pies. For anyone keeping score, they own 100% of Riot Games. Riot is theirs, along with all this other stuff. 84.3% of Supercell, which is a name that might not mean a lot to people, but I used to play a hell of a lot of Clash of Clans, and so Supercell is a pretty big pie in the mobile space. 80% of Grinding Gear Games, which you are not familiar, makes Path of Exile. 40% of Epic Games. When you got that.
That is wild.
When you're creeping up on that 50, keep forgetting 40%.
40%. That is a huge chunk.
A huge chunk of a huge company.
Wow.
29% in Funcom, which makes Conan Exiles and the Secret World, which I can't believe Secret World is still going. 11.5% of Bluehole, aka PUBG.
Yeah.
9% of Frontier Developments, Elite Dangerous and Planet Zoo, two very different games. 5% of Ubisoft, specifically to kick Vivendi to the curb. Remember that scare tactic when Vivendi tried to do the hostile takeover? One of the reasons that did not happen is because Tencent came in and they're like, oh, we'll do you a favor. Give us 5% of that. 5% of Activision Blizzard. And an undisclosed investment in Platinum Games. Don't have no idea how much of Platinum Games they own.
That's interesting.
And Discord, also undisclosed.
They've made a lot of moves. It is, that is concerning, because what if like 10 years from now they just have all the, they're a few moves away from just being everywhere, it feels like.
Well, but they don't want to be everywhere. That's the thing. And it's like, it's interesting what they don't invest in. It's interesting what they do invest in.
Ongoing live service games clearly is the focus. Path of Exile, Warframe, Epic with Fortnite. Totally.
Interesting to see, like, what is Splash Damage up to? What are they? What are they working on? Some fun new project? Like, is the multiplayer in Halo Infinite shaping up to be a fun thing that they think that's going to sell well, especially like taking the year off? Interesting. You think back to like, wow, Activision Blizzard, such a big company. They're like, 5%. I'm not going to put hotels on, Marvin Gardens just yet.
But it's like their foot's in the door. Their foot's in the door there. So it's like, what if somehow that number goes up in the future and all of a sudden they own, a huge stake of. So definitely keep your eye open.
Yeah. It's always good to get at the end of 2021. We'll do another Tencent review. Just check in. What do they own now?
Yeah.
We will see. Also fun to do a check-in on Star Citizen.
Oh my.
This saw another delay.
We never talk about this game. Delays. Okay, so we recently talked about Cyberpunk, and now everybody's like, hey, look what happened, man. Look at Cyberpunk. Chris Roberts, the head of Roberts Space Industries, which doesn't actually go to real space. They do the fake space. They do the simulation space. Is totally pulling the Cyberpunk card right now. They have a single play. If you know, Star Citizen is like indefinitely delayed. Star Citizen is like, is this game even coming out? This is something that it was... Right. First kickstarted in October of 2012. When it was kickstarted in 2012, they announced Squadron 42 as part of the Kickstarter, and they said, "Oh, the Squadron 42 single-player adventure. You know us. We made Wing Commander. You know, we're gonna have an awesome single-player campaign, and that's coming out in 2014." It is now 2020. That game is very much
2021, Jones.
It is now 2021, folks. If you're listening to this podcast, in 2015, they had this big cinematic trailer. Do you know who's in this game?
Everyone. Mark Strong, Gillian Anderson, Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman is in this game.
Gary Oldman. Huge names.
And it's funny because like they captured their face, like their likenesses are in this game, and like they're getting older. These characters,
Right.
you know, like Hamill doesn't have a beard. That's where we're at with this game. Mark Hamill also, you know, of Wing Commander fame. He was in a lot of those Wing Commanders. Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are now being sold separately as of 2016. So you can buy these things separately. And when they announced that in 2016, they also said, hey, we might branch off some other things from Star Citizen. In August of this year, they said a beta for Squadron 42 was going to be coming in the third quarter of this year. On December 23rd, they said, nah, and we're not even giving you a date. Just forget it. You know, they're like, we're still working on it. It'll be done when it's done. Classic Cyberpunk style when that got announced. Done when it's done. The actual quote from Chris Roberts, as I said earlier this year, Squadron 42 will be done when it's done and not be released just to make a date. But instead, only when all the technology and content is finished, the game is polished, and it plays great. I am not willing to compromise the development of a game I believe in with all my heart and soul, and I feel it would be a huge disservice to all the team members that I've poured so much love and hard work into Squadron 42 if we rushed it out or cut corners to put it in the hands of everyone who was clamoring for it. Michael Huber is nodding his head right now. Over the past few years, I've seen more than a few eagerly awaited titles released before they were bug-free and fully polished. This holiday season is no exception. This is just another reminder to me why I am so lucky to have such a supportive community, as well as a development model that is funded by people that care about the best game possible and not about making their quarterly numbers or big holiday shopping season.
Sick.
Man, better live up to that.
Yeah, more pressure with each passing day, of course, but you know, it's obviously been so long, but like what more quote unquote damage can be done by waiting even a couple more years? Like, really, what's the difference between 8 years and 10 years or 8 years and 11 years? It's still way past due. So at this point, your only option is to release it when it is legit,
right?
When it is good, when it is done. So smart move, and it's really their only move.
Because that's why Cyberpunk stinks so much, was it took so long and was delayed so many times. Just this year, it's like the yellow screen, yellow screen, yellow screen. So it's like he kind of does have an argument there. Panel, how much has Star Citizen made?
300 something mil, I think.
339 mil. Huber with the numbers this podcast. From almost 3 million backers. 339 million. I guess some like music company, like some big music mogul was like, blah, have a bunch of money. Undisclosed how much donated, but obviously 3 million producing 339 million. Some of those people are some big fish there. Dang. Star Citizen raised 77 million this year.
That's wild. Now, is that like them? Do you think any of that is them going to investors? Hey, we need a little more support. Or do you think that 70 whatever million
that raised on Kickstarter?
Are those new donors?
Dude, there are spaceships in that game that cost hundreds of dollars, dude.
Yeah.
To like rent, basically. You know, like this, you know, and there's a lot of updates. When he announced this and said nothing's going to be happening this year, you know, they announced all these. The patch notes are super fun, Huber, for this game. And there's all sorts of fun things. We have a very dedicated patron that regularly in our community showcase, just like, hey, look at this planet I went to. And the stories that he tells are like so organic. It's like, I met with a friend and we gambled here. And then we went to this planet and some pirates came in and our ship got destroyed. So we had to go here. It's like, is this a choose your own adventure novel or is this a video game? It's such a weird thing. And so when you have such a dedicated fan base that's so into the idea and you have continual updates, it's like I was ping-ponging back and forth reading this message from him where it was like, this is bullshit. This is not. This is, you know, it's like he's sneaky. He's honest. It's tough.
I wonder.
I don't know.
This must be so frustrating because I feel like if you're making a movie and you're one of the bigs, you film the damn thing with IMAX and you're future tech. But with a Star Citizen game, with Star Citizen, it's like, well, tech is moving so fast, so fast. Now next gen's out. Now ray tracing is this big, huge thing. Like, when do you stop, like, reaching for the skies, and when do you stop, like, doubling
not
down
only
on
is
tech?
next gen out, but the next gen is out.
It just keeps going. So if you're Star Citizen and you want to be this, like, futuristic game, ahead of everything, when do you stop? When do you just, I don't know.
Well, that's one of the things I've wondered
about.
too about, like, Cyberpunk, right? Because, like, they started that production a long time ago, and they weren't in full production until probably a year or so before the E3 reveal. But when you talk about, like, some of the ray tracing support, it's like, how do you build stuff for cards that don't exist yet? It's so crazy to think about it.
Totally. So I wonder how many times that's affected Star Citizen's development, or if it has, or.
And of the gameplay I've seen, it's a framey game. It's a game that's in development. It's a game where they definitely strive to make it look nice and pretty. And so I imagine they are future proofing a bit, Huber.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be interesting to see if we know it launches, like how public that is when it happens, like what marketing push that they do, if they get some crazy exclusivity, if there's some big Xbox event where it's like coming exclusively, to Stadia or something,
that
like,
would be
like,
so
unexpected.
Big, Jones. Microsoft scoops that up.
Yeah,
You're on, like,
just the
PC,
exclusivity,
and
like, they clearly this is a big company. 339 mil. What do they need? What do they need these big companies for? But it'd be interesting to see if that's something that, like, we miss. That, like, someone in love and respect is gonna be like, it launched, and like, oh, not even GamesIndustry.biz reported on that. And just a shout out to just all these awesome Star Citizen fans that are just loving it, that are this whole time. You think about, like, oh, this game's taken 8 years. People have been playing it for 8 years. So
true.
It's like, what is it?
That's a big
launch
difference,
anyway?
Jones. Totally.
Yeah.
That is huge.
We thought early access was weird. Chris Roberts is like, hold my beer. I'll show you how much money I can make. Also, in the last 2 weeks, very short list, the Monster Hunter movie only made 2.2 mil in its first weekend.
That came out.
Yep, it's out. Sonic made 57 mil in one weekend by comparison, which obviously,
obviously, again, box office.
I
disadvantage,
apologize
but
to the film industry. I didn't mean to throw any shade. I'm just proud of
I've seen
the
so
games.
many people talking about Wonder Woman and Soul, the idea that Monster Hunter even came out
Yeah.
is like, oh boy.
People really like pitting Wonder Woman. That's what we're talking about. Like, Wonder Woman v Soul. And it's like,
Right.
seems like two weird games to
or just
battle.
Well, they were both
both,
Christmas movies,
like-
Yeah. Publisher Raw Fury publicly shared their basic publishing agreement, which is kind of cool. They were like, and Whitethorn Digital, which is a name I'm not familiar with, also did the same, which is just neat because if you're a developer and you're making your first game and you're like, I don't even know what we should expect,
Sure.
It's one thing if you have like Unreal or you have these companies that are like, yeah, if you make your game with our engine, we'll sell it, Steam and Epic Game Store. And, we talk a little bit about that. And obviously a lot of the stuff is fluid. They're like, with negotiations and lawyers, all of this stuff might potentially change, but here's where we start. And so it was neat, for developers to get a sense of that. So shout out to Raw Fury for doing it. Again, speaking of lawyers, as I talked about at the beginning of the podcast, Gearbox Software, Bobby Print, Apogee Software, and 3D Realms have settled their Duke Nukem lawsuit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Blood knows about this.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I knew the
just-
lawsuit had been going on forever, but I didn't know.
So Gearbox bought the rights to Duke Nukem. Gearbox can do whatever they want to, which would any of you do anything with Duke Nukem right now? But they didn't buy the music. That music was licensed from Bobby Prince, who did the score. And then they went on a concert tour, an anniversary concert tour, and they were like, "Yay, we can do whatever we want with the music." And Bobby Prince is like, "Wait, no, you have to pay me again to use my music because you didn't buy the music. You just bought Duke Nukem." So they all figured it out. Sony added a new alert on PS5 that confirms you're launching the game version you want. So
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Sure. Yeah. It's confusing.
On December 24th, officially, the Rosen law firm filed a class action lawsuit against CD Projekt Red on behalf of not all the investors, just a couple that wanted to jump onto that lawsuit. So we will see. And not great news, but worth reporting because it's an interesting story. Lee Key, the CEO and founder of Yuzu Games, died on Christmas, and the Shanghai Police Department is considering it a possible poisoning that is under investigation.
Whoa.
So wild.
Whoa, exactly. That's all I have to say on that issue. But obviously, unfortunate that he passed, and that'll be interesting to see how that develops. Turning things around, the KF console exists.
Yeah, what is this thing? Please, somebody help me. I tried
It's
to.
a PC with like a heater inside or something. Yeah.
I don't want
It's not a
food
good idea.
even in the same damn room as my electronics.
But I want to know how quickly it breaks. That's my big question.
Yeah.
It's like, I want you to put chicken in there and
Making
don't
more
take it out
heat in
until
a
the game,
case.
until the console does not work anymore.
Not a good idea.
4K, 240 FPS, a hot swappable GPU slot. No price yet. No launch date yet. But there is a website. You can go check it out.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
And this is a plastic little container that breathes. And it's the console itself that heats it. There's no additional heating anything because obviously
Okay.
heat in a console is something that's going to happen. Usually people try to reverse that,
70 degrees
trajectory,
Celsius will cook
but-
something for you for sure.
Now Damiani's got those numbers.
How many people are gonna eat raw meat out of this thing?
No, that's so.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to put raw anything in it. I think you're just supposed to keep it warm.
It keeps it warm. It doesn't cook the
Yeah.
food.
Okay.
I think
keeps it warm.
Yeah.
But
Oh man, no.
KFC a little upset that Arby's was sneaking up on the game. So Arby's hasn't really been tweeting a lot lately. What happened? I wonder if that person got fired or moved on or.
They had their
I
finger on
mean,
the
if you're that
pulse
Arby's
there.
guy, you're going to move on. Come on.
Yeah.
They're
That
killing
Arby's guy is now working for Fall Guys. And China introduced a new age rating system: 8+, 12+, and 16+. Once you're 16, you can play anything in China. It is now time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
Hi, Elias. From Steve G. For indie developers, how big is too big? How successful is too successful? What made me start thinking about this was both the critical and commercial success of Hades this year. A little bit of sex in that game, too. It's one of my top games of the year, and it's been great to see such a small developer, albeit already a successful one, get so much attention and praise. On top of that are the stories of their business practices amongst a year of stories about larger companies, frankly terrible ones. But at some point, the small aren't so small anymore. More ambition can lead to more employees, a larger management structure, and so forth. At a certain point, they're the same as the big guys. So my question is, where's the line? How do these developers stay in check? We kind of talked about this. I was like, are we worried about them or?
I mean, I don't know in terms of worried about anybody, but yeah, the line of like when is somebody indie or not indie is pretty much indeterminable. Like it's such a debate anytime like best indie game comes up and it's like, what? That's an indie game? Like what? It's sort of, yeah, it's strange because it's, I don't know. The line almost seems to be like, can you buy stock in that company? It feels like that's, it's like, what's CD Projekt Red, an indie developer until after they went public? I don't know. Like it's very much a perception kind of a thing, and almost like a size of the team is part of it, and how big the games are and how much the people charge for the games and what types of games. It's a really weird, strange thing. Because, like the Devolver, that's essentially them publishing a bunch of indie games, but like, well, they're publishing it. So then are they indie anymore? Like,
And when Bastion came out, like that was a huge game. Sure, Hades is probably bigger, but you got to look at the industry back then too. Like social media is now bigger than it's ever been. Just how quickly information is shared. So yeah, I don't think Supergiant, I don't think we need to worry. Like they make like their entire gameography, their 4 games like are all kind of similar in scope and scale and development.
I guess also like influence. Like if you're signing with a publisher, how much influence they have over your game development. I mean, autonomy also has to factor a little bit into that, besides just size and, financial availability. So, if it's a company that doesn't have to answer to anybody as well, I mean, that's also kind of like the spirit. But I get what people generally mean. Like, yeah, as you said, small staff, not a lot of money. And if they become a breakout hit, it's like, oh, you're still independent. We just expect bigger things from your next game. Like I don't know, like maybe you're on the track to become a not indie developer at some point, but Yeah, it's a little weird.
Do you think Microsoft or Tencent has made the call? Do you think they've
How
called
big
them?
is too big? Oh, that call. Sure.
Yeah. Do you think they've called them?
Microsoft could make that call.
I'm sure someone's called them. I'm sure somebody. Yeah.
Phil Spencer.
yeah.
We got Phil on the line.
Still.
Well, it's funny because Huber, the way I've talked to like some executives at like bigger companies, not gaming companies, but like Hulu and other. I have some friends that like will bounce around between these big companies, and there's no like you're not. These guys don't do this on LinkedIn. There's not like they don't send out tweets. Hey, I got fired. If anybody wants me, it's about the phone call. It's about like there's a lot of like, hey, just checking in. How's the fam? Like that means something. That's like, oh crap. Like they'll play it cool and then like hang up the phone and be like, honey. Like that guy from the company called me. So even them saying like, hey, congrats on that game award.
Yeah.
It's like,
Reminds me of that scene in Moneyball.
Sure.
Like trading the players and stuff, making those calls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's funny that we're debating the significance and size of a company called Supergiant. It's like, you think they're ambitious, just a tad? I worry about expectations. I worry that they had some really fun, quirky idea because Pyre is a really interesting game.
Totally.
Pyre doesn't seem like a game that's made like, oh, this game's going to be massive. It's like, no, it's a fun, interesting, very story-driven, very system-driven game. And, I think a lot of people, even though, admit, or seems like the public perception is pretty much universal that Hades is a fantastic game. Not something we could really tell right away that it was gonna strike, as big of a chord. So I wonder, I'm afraid that they had some really fun idea for their next project, and then we're like, we can't do that because our next thing has to be huge. Our next thing has to seem bigger than Hades. I don't know.
Yeah, because
Transistor
feels like that with Bastion to me, though, Jones. It's a great point. Transistor feels like it's trying to be kind of Bastion 2.0, just like more of that style. I don't know. And then Pyre was like way removed, like so different. So I wonder if their next game will kind of try to capitalize on Hades. Maybe it's another roguelite. I don't know. You were going to say something, Blood. I cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I know that you were saying that was your perception of Transistor, but it's like, to me, like Transistor was just such a different thing, and it wasn't. Like that's the thing is like you're saying, Bastion felt huge when it came out, and I felt like people appreciated Transistor. I feel like people appreciated Pyre, but I don't feel like anything was like one-upping Bastion until Hades.
Totally.
And now Hades is like, this is their best game, like pretty universal.
Yeah. Totally.
Let's play a game. From Cody Spencer. Hello, allies. An almost new year. Quick game for everyone. Which open world is larger? All games measured in square miles. Love, respect, Cody.
Nice.
All right,
Number
Jones.
1. Yeah, some of these are surprising. Number 1, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Skyrim.
Skyrim?
No. Breath of the Wild, almost double.
Oh, shit.
Breath of the Wild
Wow.
is 28.9 square miles, and Skyrim is a paltry 15 square miles.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
I'm curious, are they just looking at like the map grid? Because
What
you
else would they
wouldn't.
be looking at?
Well, you would be looking
I've
at
seen
surface
sites
area
that-
if you're talking about vertical space.
Yeah,
sure.
I see sites that do these comparisons and stuff, and like they
I think
have
just-
some
I think
agreed
just a
upon
flat
metric for
overhead, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're just talking about like the overhead map and grid by grid, that's a simple thing to do. But then when you start talking about like climbing surfaces, and
Verticality.
multiple layers and tunnels and all this kind of stuff,
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, I think this is literally just literally the map you can print on a poster and put on your wall. How big's that sucker?
Right.
Gotcha.
Speaking of, both of these maps are, compared to the other ones, pretty small, actually. Red Dead Redemption 2 or Grand Theft Auto 5? What's the bigger map?
Bigger map?
Bigger map.
I want to say Red Dead,
Red Dead,
but
'cause
but
the wilderness.
GTA has cars, so that the scale is a little different.
True.
Yeah,
That's
go
right.
GTA.
GTA?
31 square miles to Red Dead's 29. So it's, it's
very
almost
close,
there.
yeah,
But, again, compared to some of these other ones, we're about to get into some big numbers here. But again, that's also, Blood, what you're talking about with like density. It's like there's a lot going on, compared to some of this other stuff. Number 3, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or
Odyssey.
The Witcher 3 Wild
Odyssey.
Hunt.
Odyssey.
Okay.
If it's not Odyssey, I'm blown away. You're about
Not
to
by
blow
much,
me away?
Huber. Not by much, Huber. Odyssey is 90 square miles, and The Witcher 3 is 84.
Okay. Odyssey is the
that trip to
biggest damn
Skellige
game.
kicks it up just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But
There's a lot of empty
Odyssey
space
is,
around Skellige too, though.
Yeah, Odyssey is just one trip to Skellige after another.
So big, dude.
Number 4, Xenoblade Chronicles X or Ghost Recon Wildlands? Which is the bigger map?
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
I feel like it's Ghost Recon.
I want to say it's Ghost Recon, but again, you're flying around in Xenoblade. This makes it hard.
You can fly around Ghost Recon too.
Oh.
Yeah, I said Ghost Recon.
So you need a helicopter in that game. It doesn't mean it's a better game, but it is Ghost Recon. 170 square miles to Xenoblade's 154 square miles.
170?
170. Not the biggest map. Not the biggest map by far.
Odyssey's only 90?
Yeah.
You're telling me Wildlands is double the size almost?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, dude, you quit Wildlands,
I
man.
hard quit. Thank
Yeah.
goodness, dude. 170 square
That's
miles.
why. That's why. That's why you bailed, because you saw what the rest of that game was giving you, and you didn't want it. Number 5, Final Fantasy 15 or Just Cause 3?
Tricky one.
Dude, Just Cause
I'm gonna
3
say Just Cause.
and Final
but
Fantasy 15 is deceptive, whatever the answer is, because not all that map is accessible anyway.
Sure, it feels deceptive because the winner of this
It's Just Cause.
is the biggest map. Maybe all of these combined is this map size.
200 square miles.
Final Fantasy 15 is 700 square miles,
What?
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 according to Cody Spencer. To Just Cause 3's 400 square miles. I
What?
believe that for Just Cause 3 because I remember when Just Cause 2 came out, I was like, why the hell is this the biggest open world map I've ever seen in my life by such a crazy, crazy margin? Because you're talking about flying. That's all you're doing in Just Cause. You're flying everywhere. So if you land and look around, it's not pretty. you want to stay in the air as much as you can.
Well, Flight Simulator beats all of them, so.
Flight Simulator
Yeah, Flight Simulator is...
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not walking. You can't. There's no walking. in Flight
Sure.
Simulator,
Doesn't No Man's Sky
in all these
beat all
games,
of
you
them or
can walk,
something?
which brings us to the bonus question: what is the largest open world?
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. I was going to say that.
Yeah, can No Man's Sky end?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I guess, but that's not.
And
it's
that's
procedurally
procedural,
generated,
yeah.
so it's not. doesn't
Oh,
count.
so it has to be a crafted world.
Yeah, racing game, Blood.
Yoshi's Crafted World.
Oh, what was,
racing
what was
game.
your game, Blood? That was open world racing game.
That Fuel?
Fuel,
Yeah, there you
5,560 square miles.
Ridiculously stupid game.
Ridiculously stupid game. Fuel.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's great.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me 5,560 square miles. No. From Gondheezy, hey allies, I, like many, have just finished up Cyberpunk 2077. I was playing on a high-end PC. Nice flex there, Gondheezy.
Yeah,
I noticed that
great
throughout the
flex.
game, whenever I leveled up, I never immediately spent my perk or stat points. I just hoarded them until I got to an obstacle where I needed more reflex or cool.
Ian
Then I
technique.
Yeah, oh, that's the classic immersive sim technique. You got to do it. You got to save your skill points.
Hoarding skill points.
Oh, yeah, because then you come up to a door or a computer and you're like, oh, I'm just 1 or 2 points away. Bloop, bloop. Got to.
The old skill point bloop bloop. Then I thought back to my playthrough of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and realized I did the exact same thing. And it sort of dawned on me that I do this with every RPG. I don't know that there's a right or wrong way to do this kind of thing, but what are your thoughts? In an RPG, spend your level up perks the second you get them to stay in character, or is it okay to hoard them until you know what they're going to be most useful for? Love and respect, Nirav.
I generally
Imme-
spend all mine immediately.
Yeah, because I do strength every time in
Sure,
a lot of
yeah.
games. So the
Yeah,
boom,
you
boom, boom.
were.
But if it is something like an immersive sim where there's so many systems, whether it be hacking, lockpicking, conversations, lifting heavy objects, like then I wait. But if it's just basic run of the mill strength, intelligence, that stuff, I don't. I spend it right away.
I spend immediately every game.
Yeah, I'm definitely spending them right away.
This stuff like Spider-Man irks me because I'm like, all right, go to spit. And it's like, you need 2 skill points. Like, because I hate, in Valhalla, it's in the corner. It's like 2. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll go spend it. Like, you got 2 points. Like, thank you, Valhalla.
Yeah,
I
it's like,
guess I'm gonna
go
spend them. What's nice about Valhalla is everything's 1 point. So you just, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, sure, proficiency in shields, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even using shields. But, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't play in immersive sims. You two at the bottom of the screen are Deus Ex nuts. So that's definitely. I don't find those barriers. I actually am proud of my Valhalla playthrough because there's only one conversation I didn't have the charisma to talk my way out of in Valhalla. Because it was 5. I was like, oh, just take my 300 silver, fine.
Yeah.
But it's so
I
nice
love that stuff. I love that stuff.
to be cocky about charisma because I'm all maxed out now. So every conversation, I'm just like, step aside.
Love charisma stats.
My silver tongue to Eivor.
Love
what about you,
that.
Damiani? How do you spend right away?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I spent right away.
Yeah, nice. All right, it's time for Ore Wars. Now, after we do this Ore Wars, because we got to figure out who's going to win this podcast, we are going to pick the betting name of our new betting team, meaning myself and Bloodworth, because the two of you are still the Jovial Penguins, which, Blood, how do you beat the Jovial Penguins? It's like, of course they were going to win. You know what I mean? It was predestined. It's like, we got to make them the sad Penguins in 2021. We will start our bets next podcast, but we'll do Ore Wars now, and we will pick our new team name after this Ore Wars. Are you ready? Last week, they were not. I have sailed the world, beheld its wonders, from the Dardanelles to the mountains of Peru. But there's no place like Ore Wars.
Ore Wars.
Who wants to go first?
Blood does.
Great.
Sure.
Bloodworth. Sephiroth or Kirby Sephiroth?
Kirby Sephiroth.
Why?
Why?
Yes,
Because-
why? That's how Ore Wars works.
Because Kirby is now a Universal Smash Brothers metric. Sephiroth's sword has been measured in the number of Kirby's. And so, yeah. And plus, every time, the costumes, like that's one of the things I always think about when there's a new Smash Brothers character announced is what is Kirby going to look like when he eats this person?
Yeah. All right, who's going second, Huber?
Sure.
Is it you or Damiani? I
I'll
didn't
go.
ask you for you're going. Okay.
You were the selector.
Announcing a game too early or releasing a game too late?
What's better?
Yes, what's better of those two?
Better or
Pick one.
give me
Use
one more
your
time.
own Kirby metrics to decide.
One more time. Announcing
Announcing a game too early or releasing a game too late?
Releasing a game too late. There's no rush. Take your time. If you announce it too early, you know, the expectations start to rise. The impatience starts to boil. So no rush. We have so many distractions, so many things to play. You get your game out when it's ready, when it's good. If that takes a little extra time, then so be it.
Michael Damiani, Mario Kart 9 or Grand Theft Auto 6?
Mario Kart 9,
Why?
because I have to believe it's going to be Mario Kart Ultimate. And it's going to have everybody.
Ooh.
So maybe you'll get some GTA in your Mario Kart 9.
Double dash? Double dash? Do we
There you
get
go.
double? The baby?
Yeah.
The baby? And then,
Maybe you could have two of the GTA characters riding back, passenger or shotgun and driver's seat.
Franklin, it's the wheelman.
Franklin's on the wheel. Yeah. There you go.
I'm sorry, Damiani won that. GTA and Mario Kart. I guess. Are you kidding me? All right. We got to pick the team name, but that's Ore Wars. I have sailed the world, beheld its wonders, from the Dardanelles to the mountains of Peru. But there's no place like Ore Wars.
Ore
Wars.
Wars.
All right, I don't even know how Bloodworth's going to do this. What are we doing right now, man? How are we picking this team
Okay,
name?
yeah. So the two-step process. First of all, yeah, you guys are going to be. We're at your mercy. So you guys are picking our name.
Oh, no.
So first of all, you have to decide which of you is picking first.
What do you think, Damiani? You want first or second?
You're the selector, Huber.
You start us off. You set the tone, Damiani. You set the tone.
Okay. So Damiani, are you going to pick the adjective or the animal?
Oof. Huber's picking the animal.
Okay.
It's the only right way.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
so Jones, give Damiani the first letter of each of those adjectives.
Okay. B, D, M, and V.
B, D, M, or V?
Correct.
Gonna look up one quick thing for you. Make sure I get it.
I just recognize it's just
You're going to be. I'm gonna go with V.
okay. Wait, it's whatever I picked, right, Blood? He's just
Yeah.
got to pick the letter. Yeah. You don't then get to pick the word. You're just picking
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, V.
Yeah. Yeah.
V has come
So
to.
what's that adjective?
Vociferous.
Oh my gosh.
Could I get a definition, please?
Talkative, I believe. Loud, you know.
Oh, I am What is it?
Yeah, you're vociferous.
I'm
Especially
vociferous.
Vehement or clamorous.
It is.
He was a
yeah.
vociferous opponent of the takeover, especially of a person or speech. Clamorous.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you are definitely vociferous. You were.
Speak with great energy.
Ooh, I like this word.
They want their views to be heard.
Wow. All right. So Huber, you get to choose between beavers, rhinos, sea lions, or woodpeckers.
Dude, vociferous beavers. Yep.
There we are.
There we are.
Vociferous beavers.
For the next year.
But with how? You of all people. You of all people.
Oh my god.
What else was he? I'm sorry. I am holding myself back. I'm gonna have to hold myself back for 12 months now. The vociferous. Are you kidding me? Do you know what comments I'm gonna have to read next week?
Maybe next
is it?
time. Maybe next time you guys will win.
Okay, so we can't do it now, but we got a week to figure out what the vociferous beavers sound like.
Yeah. I mean, I got an idea on that one. I had ideas on all of these, but
I've heard a couple vociferous beavers in my day. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. It's where you would want to go if you want to support the Allies. It's a brand new year, everybody. It is January 1st or 3rd or any of the dates after that, but we're in 2021 right now as of the releasing of this podcast. We did it. I know a lot of people were like, yay, we finally made it past 2020. Not everything is going to change right away. 2021 is probably still going to be a bit of an uphill climb, but we march on at Easy Allies. We're going to be 5 years old at the end of March of this year.
Wow.
And I know. And we're going to plan some fun events. We're going to release some fun stuff that you can check out. We have a lot of exclusive stuff that happens at patreon.com/easyallies. A lot of exclusive shows. You can get this podcast early. You can hang out with me every Monday morning on a show called Cup of Jones, where I talk about all the stuff that's happening that week. I answer questions from people. For just $1, you can jump into the post from the previous week and ask me anything you want. Within reason. Be on your best behavior. None of this vociferous beaver nonsense on Cup of Jones. That's it. That's the $5 early access tier. For $5, you get, involved in the love and respect. You can submit stuff for Silver Lining. So thank you to all of our patrons that supported us in 2020. Please consider becoming a part of Easy Allies on Patreon in 2021. We greatly appreciate it. Wrapping up our last read of our December shout-out patrons. This is our very top tier, patreon.com/easyallies. Damiani, you're going first. I'm going after you. Huber, you're going third. Three. Blood, you're going last. A huge shout-out and tremendous love and respect to Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Jesse Blue, Stephen Thomason, and Nick.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
shout out.
Michael Damiani. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped in your head. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off.
Nice. Video. Let's do the most recent episode of Hunting Huber that's available for everybody. A bloody duel. You can guess who that features. Yeah, I should definitely check that out. How many more of those that we got left actually coming in the works?
2 more, I believe.
Two
more?
Yeah.
2 more, yeah.
2 total.
Two
all
more
day.
of those. Sorry. It's final word, sign off, and is that it?
Yeah.
Let's forget. Final thought. You know what? Can I defer this to somebody? Am I allowed to do that?
Of course.
Defer the final
Yeah.
thought.
Okay.
Huber, do you want to do the final thought?
I actually have a final thought.
Yeah, I have this feeling that you have something you want to say.
I actually have a final. Yeah, the with the shout out there, really, really extra love and respect. It's the end of the year. A lot of those supporters were in that tier all year long.
Year long.
Yeah, some people came in and out. Like, love and respect to the maximum amount. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And until next time, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
All of these companies are stoked.
Those
they're
are
all
turkeys,
saying,
Jones.
They're all saying that.
Play some games, with the family. That sounds really jolly.
The Easy Allies would like to thank our Patreon podcast producers. We apologize in advance for all the ally names we are about to misspell and mispronounce. Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Jesse Blue, Stephen Thomason, Nick, Walker Hope, Mark Dalga, Will Schmuck, Sigma, Robert Stoffel, Zachary Wingate, Dave Red, Paolo Costabel, Discarded Digit, Ali Cat, Damnable Nook, Happy Gaming, Miguel Rivas, Valmar, Daniel Portillo, Jose Gutierrez, Alex AI, Rob Bob Will, Beaten Down Brian, Chum Nguyen, Roy Sung, Yasser Kurbushi, Bradley Speeds, Hayden Hargraves, Nicholas Johnson, Sarah Lawson, Douglas Chomitz, Jay Shee, Justin Moore, G. Levin, Matthew Pauling, G. Ken, Gary James, The Banana Forklift Killer, Marcel Markov, Catherine Lai, Todd Yurkovic, Candy Coated Thorns, Hitman 47, Rack, Matthew Holmes, Oni Black Mage, Niz Klojgard, Jordan Kirk, James Vitt, Sam Handrick, Robert Crouch, Luke Bennett, John Burns, Mango, Mark J. Betters II, Adam Henry, Brad Grenz, Jake Musser, Eric Crone, Jan Tyson, Danny Vlar, Daniel Dupree, DRD 7-14, Sabine T, Charles Anthony Iapicino, Samsa Stormbaum, Sage Mode Q, Gabriel Johansson, Stepan Hakobian, Ryan Anderson, Dale Sun, Christopher Santis, Strikeout NZ, David Boyarsky, Pete Shoemaker, Reed Johnson, Manuel Thomas, Michelle Nubb, Mikey Mizek Novak, Alex Monaco, Marco Hernandez, Daniel Wong, V. Kira Ray, Don Turner, Sebastian Urban, Eddie Reisner, Sebastian Trier, Adam Scherenbrock, Azazel Valkyrie, Junya Motomura, Ivan Ponce, Tuttle, Joshua Vanswall, Tense George, Colin Hoylman, Barry, Cyberboa, Forrest, Eric Maynard, Chase Caldwell, iSun Chor, Leon Keys, Chris the Pianist, Ian Anderson, Philip Higdon, Nycrypt, Jai Aldiar, Robert I, C.S. Lewis, Ahmed Al-Rashed, Bonnie and Jason Connor, Travis Miosi, Mike Calvi, Alex Glass, The Fatty Show, DanPan16, Wouter DeHaze, Malcolm Moschette, Not Jack, Mithers Strongbeard, Jana, Anthony Galvin, V8 Dave, Oru Gachino, Dakota Hayes, The Classiest Hobo, Misuki 211, Matt Karwoski, Liam Ahern, Bunny Chen, Materia Addict, Arthur Henrique Chinaglia, Culinary Stud, Edison S. Prada Jr., Tim Mann, Crediar, Mauricio Fuentes, Jesse Fish, Gabriel Aberg, Zahid Hosseini Karami, Lee Young, Alexander Zirianov, Morpheus, Christian Hundorf, Brian Foster, Sean Cornett, Linson Wu, Matthew Migler, Brandon White, Christoph Fatui, Michael Clendenan, Aurelian Grenier, Eric Gustafson, Trevor Thomas, Michael Kozachenko, Adam Lindsay, Corey Landega, Pablo Rodriguez, Ibrahim Sozer, Carl Williams, Gustav Strombaum, Volker Bach, Russell Bateman, Lindsay Wells, Jason I, Nefertiti Jenkins, Jesse Vitelli, Jonathan and Amy Alconis, Quinn Riley, JC3, Paul Nolson, Isaac Swanson, Jameson Lapine, Max His Shame Turman, Breadroll Art, Matt Ford, Joey Din, Splontot, Jordan Phillips, Ryan Wagner, Matthias Clare, Spencer Stevens, Jeffrey Murillo, Trizac, Matt Ferguson, Sam Sorensen, Vincent Foliat, Paul Sway, Michael Pliskin, Andy Marks, Tim Strothman, XWF Outlaw, Julius Garcia, Alex Lavanier, Ritz 1906, Joel Short, Dimitri Zetas, Mazrim Tame, Helen Y, Noah Weinstein, Travis Gakowski, Megadet, Sneaky Gato, W. Crusher, Line Crown 19, Tom Masterman, Jojo Dentko, ZK, Jose Carlos Madrigal, Mr. Anarchy, Thomas Blaze Fauchereau, Andreas Risberg, Dreams of Caffeine, Michael Bisegli, Matthew Holmes, Kodiak Bear 88, Lars Berger, Marcel Giru 17 Froelich, Erdney Kutenow, Megan McDonough, Glenn Olson, Corey Jackson, Natabia Ross, Allison Burt, Jesse Wilkeson, Katie Garza, Jeffrey Ruchtenwald, Dan Sebring, James Davey, Neil Bruce, Silent Consonant, Craig Happ, Travis Ing, Cody Westley, Kroldemort, Jeremy Ferris, Clay Roberts, Super 3D Cow, Ahab, Mick Roper, Accounts Payable, Tristan Howard, John Gallagher, Willow Pingree, Mikal Aniel, Blue, Matthew Eden, A Filthy Lot, Mike Hook 1, Miguel, Delisi, Ethereal Ether, Mo Grant, Roy Eschke, Nick Waterman, Fishflop, David Wilson, Maverick Lee Back, David Wen, Tim O'Keefe, Harrison Holt McHale, Shut Up Victor, Blake Bonsack, Bryce Hornsby, Toasty Soul, Jethrin, Hadi Ali, Gon Kef, Espen Gotchman, Jadi Rita, Chief Uhu, Britton Fuller, Matthew T, Toad Show, Luis Ibarra, Monica, Malianware, T-Beaks 15, Ulf himself, Bjorn R. Haraldsvik, Faraz Rizvi, Andrew Stoke, Julianne Van Dyken, Michael Rebelato, Blue Water Blue Sky, RF Switch, S-Snake 24.